any reservations, I would imagine that that would be one of them. Bournemouth finished 6th last season, 1 position and 3 points behind Liverpool in the league. They qualified for next season's Europa League. What represents success for Andoni Iraola this time around, Crook?
It's a brilliant question. Winning the title, I guess, would be the aspiration, because Arne Slot achieved that in his first season. Jurgen Klopp won it as well. So I think that there'll be the high standards that he'll be asked to try and achieve. Obviously, the best.
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? Well, the Super Bowl halftime show does exactly that. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest ever in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first edition of the Super Bowl was held in 1967, when the Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Los Angeles. Because of the sheer size of the event, organisers wanted to put on entertainment at halftime for the fans in the stadium. It was a display of marching bands, dancers and pure USA patriotism, and that was the theme that followed for years. In the 1980s, the Walt Disney Company got involved, and we started seeing some interesting and questionable displays. But we got our first glimpse of halftime shows to come in '93, when none other than Michael Jackson stunned fans with his 15-minute medley of his own smash hits. When he walked out on stage, he had to wait for the crowd's cheers to die down for about 2 minutes before even starting his first song. Diana Ross, Gloria Estefan, Phil Collins all starred in their own shows, as did Aerosmith, who performed alongside NSYNC. Things got a little bit out of hand in 2004 when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson produced perhaps the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction in history. Shows from the likes of Prince, Lady Gaga and Beyoncé are considered by critics as the best. To give you an idea of the scale of things, Rihanna's 2023 halftime show included roughly 800 people. These ranged from backing dancers to stage crew to camera operatives broadcasting to millions around the world. The whole stage for that show was built in roughly 8 minutes and was broken down and cleared away in the same time. The acts perform for free nowadays, even though the experts reckon it costs around $13 million to put on Rihanna's show. Artists know they'll rocket up the charts in the following weeks. Rihanna's average sales improved by 140% in the months following her performance. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Strap yourself in. It's Destination Football.
Wonderful delivery that time.
The Saturday session on talkSPORT. The intensity, the inspiration, and the furious indignation.
High into the air. It's in!
The Saturday session on talkSPORT.
Good afternoon, this is the Saturday session on talkSPORT. I'm Olly Clink, hope you're having a cracking weekend so far. I have got former England fullback and Sunderland legend Micky Gray alongside me. Lucky me, we're with you all the way up until 5 o'clock. Plenty on the way for you coming up. Big news coming out of West Ham today in the last hour. Their joint chair, David Sullivan, has stepped down from his position with immediate effect. We're going to be joined by Jacob Steinberg from The Guardian to look at the impact of Sullivan at the club and what's next for the Hammers. We'll also look ahead to England's warm-up game with New Zealand, with the World Cup just around the corner. Me and Micky have got World Cup fever, that's for sure. Should we, though, be wrapping Harry Kane in cotton wool with the pitch looking a little bit dodgy out in the States, it's safe to say. All of that, plus we'll look at the latest transfers. We'll keep you across the cricket. England about to get back underway against the Kiwis at Lords. And we've got all the live racing from Epsom, including the big one, the Derby, at 4 o'clock. A packed show then. Here we go. This is the Saturday session on talkSPORT. Mr. Micky Gray, how are you?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, you know how I am, mate. I'm a Newcastle fan. talkSPORT rang me up. They went, do you want to spend 4 hours with a Sunderland legend?
And mate, I've been looking forward to this for months.
Yeah, I bet you have. I'm being paid triple today for that. So nice 30 quid.
Hey.
What does that get you nowadays? What, a season ticket?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot, mate. It doesn't get you a lot, yeah. How was your season anyway?
Yeah, great, mate. Yeah, really, really good. I'm going to ban a few things that we'll talk about today. No mention of Sunderland, Brian Brobby, passports, Europe. No, of course, we're going to get into it later. But yeah, I mean, what a season. We weren't expecting it. What a season for Sunderland.
It was incredible. You're right, nobody expected it. I think when those new signings, 14, I think it was in the summer, they all walked through the door for the start, the first game against West Ham, and then it just went, everybody just went on this journey, and it was just incredible. I mean, the stadium, like this last season, was just absolutely rocking every single week, and the way it's finished, I mean, Europa League football, beyond the wildest dreams. I mean, it's just about staying up in your first season, but that is just absolutely incredible. What a job Regis Sabri's done.
Yeah, and that's enough of that for today. Yeah, fantastic stuff. You're looking very tan, by the way, mate. You've been away?
Yes, I have. I've just got back from Mallorca, actually. I had 10 days. It was absolutely mega. Wish I was still there, but I'd rather be here.
Yeah, you've flown back just for this. Oh, that's great stuff. Now, like I mentioned, we've had some huge news from West Ham in the last hour or so. West Ham can confirm that their joint chair, David Sullivan, has stepped down from his position with immediate effect. He's also resigned as a director of both WH Holding Limited and West Ham United Football Club, having been made aware of the impending publication of serious historic allegations. It's understood none of the allegations relate to West Ham United or any of its operations. He's also released his own statement, which is on the West Ham website, which I'll read in full for you now. He says, I've recently become aware that factually incorrect and entirely false, decades-old allegations concerning my personal life are due to be broadcast and published. The false allegations levelled against me have been sensationalised by the media. After a lifetime spent building businesses in the adult industry, in which I have met thousands of women, it's sadly inevitable that a small number of improper conduct claims are being made against me. I categorically deny these claims. I'm a private man, and those who personally and professionally know the real David Sullivan, not the caricature invented by the tabloids, know exactly who I am and what I stand for. I'm absolutely not the person the media has decided to paint me as. I've not been provided with any proper explanation as to how these individuals, all their claims were independently verified or assessed for credibility prior to publication. I believe that the entire process has been fundamentally unfair and completely lacking in any due impartiality. I will be suing the BBC for libel, along with any other media outlet that repeats any libelous allegations. He says, none of these allegations relate to my more than 30 years in football. West Ham United has been one of the greatest passions and privileges of my life. I care deeply about the club, its supporters, its players, its staff, and its future at what is already a challenging and important time for the club. I refuse to allow personal matters concerning me to become an unnecessary distraction or a source of instability. Therefore, after very careful consideration and with a heavy heart, I've decided to resign as joint chair and director of West Ham United Football Club with immediate effect. This has been an incredibly painful decision to make, but is one made out of love, respect, and a responsibility toward a football club and a fan base that deserve absolute unity and focus moving forward. I'm stepping down to apply my full energy and attention on fighting these false allegations. I've officially engaged my legal team, and we're preparing to issue legal proceedings in respect of each and every false complaint that's been made against me. I'll be seeking full redress legally and publicly on every single front. He finishes by saying, as I depart, I want to thank everyone connected with West Ham United, past and present, for the loyalty, friendship, memories and European adventures and successes that I'll carry with me forever. West Ham will always remain close to my heart, and I have total confidence that the board of directors and interim chief executive officer, Karim Virani, will do everything they can to take the club forward in the right direction. I wish everyone connected with the club every success in the future. I won't be making any further public comment at this stage, but I reserve all legal rights available to me in relation to any false or defamatory allegations. That statement is on the West Ham United website. For more on this now, we're joined by Jacob Steinberg, who's a football reporter for The Guardian, who covers West Ham. Jacob, thank you very much for joining us. Just firstly, what's your reaction to this news?
It's absolutely astonishing news to come out to, especially when I'm here in Tampa for England, and it's the first thing that I've woken up to. Not what we were expecting to see this morning here in the US. But for West Ham United, obviously, it's an absolutely incredible day, just because this has been the man who has run the club for the best part of 16 years and has being such a major influence in the way that the club is run, and it's become so unpopular with the club's fan base because of the way that he's done things, especially in the last few years. That's ultimately led to them going down this season into the Championship, and obviously major financial trouble, having dropped out of the Premier League. So there'll be a lot of supporters who are West Ham supporters who are very glad to see the news, regardless of how it's come about today.
In your opinion, just how much of the blame can be put at his door specifically for their relegation?
I think it's broadly down to him, down to David Sullivan, because ultimately, while he's not the majority shareholder at West Ham, hasn't been for a few years, and there are other people at the club, other people on the board, it's very much him who calls the shots at West Ham. He holds the power. If David Sullivan has wanted to make a change in the way that things are done, often it's been his word that's been laid down. And it's the lack of structure within the club, I think, that's obviously been very frustrating for supporters and probably for people working within the club at times. And there's been the lack of direction, lack of vision. There's been jump from one managerial style to another. Sometimes it's we're going up for a manager who is maybe more pragmatic, and then they'll jump to a manager who is trying to play attractive football, and there's not always the kind of coherence in terms of how the squad is built, and so you're kind of jumping from one style to another, and it's never really done with any real thought. And there's been times where they've tried to have a director of football in, but the director of football or the recruitment chief has been linked to the manager, and it's been sort of too kind of jumbled up. And then when that's not worked, they've sort of gone back to a manager-led recruitment style. David Sullivan's always been sort of very involved in recruitment as well. There was a point at which he was in the club accounts about 10 years ago, was referred to as the de facto director of football at West Ham. So as you can see, it's all sort of very confusing, the way that the club has been run. And I think that ultimately, because of the way that the Premier League has progressed in terms of that middle class of the Premier League getting better and better in terms of the likes of Brighton, Bournemouth, Brentford, who are so much more organised than West Ham, it's just caught up with them this season. And the money that they've historically had in the last 10, 15 years, that didn't really make a difference in the end, because there are just clubs who've been smarter than them. And it's ultimately that lack of clarity in the way that they've been run that caught up with them and led to the relegation this season.
Jacob, what legacy does he leave at the football club? Will it all just be about the stadium move?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he's obviously not the only person who was involved in that move. That's Karen Brady, who left the club in abrupt circumstances at the end of April. Obviously, the Gold family were involved in that as well. But this is what supporters will remember him for, the fact that they left Upton Park and moved into this stadium. Now, I don't think that they were necessarily wrong to try to upgrade where the club played. It's ultimately that it was done in such a sort of haphazard way. They don't own the stadium. It's hard to see ultimately how that move has really benefited them. Now, obviously, they could argue that since going there, they've won a European trophy. The counter to that is the next season they'll be playing in the Championship, and who knows whether they'll get close to filling a stadium that holds 62,000 people. I would be very surprised if they're getting anywhere near capacity. And it's not a football stadium. It can be a atmospheric place on a European night, which is obviously rare for West Ham fans to experience, on your sort of average Saturday afternoon or Monday night where they're playing a sort of less glamorous fixture, the atmosphere in there can be really bad and it just sort of falls very flat. And ultimately, that's what fans will remember him for and hold against him, the fact that they feel the identity of the club has been stripped away. Stuff like the change to the club badge is something that, with this sort of shift into West Ham London, is something that clubs fans just, they just don't like, that sense of the identity and the soul of the club being stripped away, and the soul of the club being stripped away ultimately for nothing, because they haven't been able to challenge properly for the elite, the top six, the elite of the Premier League, which was the idea of going to this stadium. Instead, they're playing in the Championship next season. That's the next level for West Ham.
Yeah, huge news for those West Ham supporters. Jacob, you mentioned you're out in Tampa. You're going to England's warm-up game against New Zealand tonight. You're out in the heat. You'll have a tan like Micky's in no time at all, I'm sure. But what are you expecting from tonight? Tuchel already saying that he's going to try do two different 11s in both halves.
Well, the first thing to say is that the heat in Tampa has been okay this week. When the cloud comes over, then it's not as hot as you'd expect. And the humidity here is a little bit different to what England, I think, have been experiencing in West Palm Beach. It's a little bit lower. I mean, it's meant to be 32 degrees at kickoff today, but if the cloud comes, then I don't think it will be quite as challenging as people think. So that might have an impact on the way that the game is played. It's obviously going to be very interesting to see what 11 he picks. He said that he's going to be playing 2 11s across both halves to get players, have a look at players and get minutes into some of their legs, because some of them need that load, I think, going into the World Cup. They're obviously playing a side who had a really bad result on earlier this week against Haiti. They lost 4-0. They're the lowest ranked team, New Zealand, in the World Cup, and Haiti are the second lowest. So you would hope for quite a free-flowing England performance. Probably the obstacle to that is that some of the players, the Arsenal players, aren't there, and they're obviously very important. Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka, to the way that Tuchel is going to be playing. The pitch is another question mark as well. It's maybe not an ideal surface that we're playing on at the Raymond James Stadium, and then also just this sense of whether the heat is going to be an impediment to performance as well. But I think we'd be hoping against a team like New Zealand for an emphatic display from England.
Jacob, appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed. Jacob Steinberg there, football reporter for The Guardian. In just a moment here on talkSPORT, Micky and I will look ahead to that England game against New Zealand, and we'll bring you more live racing from Epsom.
When you get these Arsenal fans ranting and raving and saying some of the things that they do, and then you get this nitwit over here popping up with his little brand of observation in social media.
What, Piers?
Yeah.
Little brand of 9 million followers.
Whatever, how many followers you've got, Piers.
Well, a lot more than you, Sancho.
Fantastic, but I don't judge my
work
by that.
It's not a little brand.
But I don't judge myself by those numbers.
This is a little brand. My YouTube channel is 4.5 million subscribers.
I'm delighted.
I have 9 million followers on X. So when I say something to 9 million
I'm delighted.
people, I'm saying it to a lot more millions than you.
I'm delighted.
Yeah, but it's not a little brand. I'm not a little nitpick.
No, I'm delighted.
You may not like what I say.
I'm delighted.
But the platform I have is infinitesimally bigger than yours.
I'm delighted. You've pivoted into the digital world and hung on by your fingertips, right? But the bottom line is I'm looking at the content. I'm looking at the content, and you're asking me why.
Yes.
People are reacting negatively to what's being said. So
Yes, Mickey, I've put my passport back in the drawer. you don't need to keep going. You should have heard him in the break, honestly. just rabbiting on about it, and we get it. Sunderland had a good season for the first time.
I never rub things in. See, I would have mentioned it, but in the green room before we came in here, you couldn't wait to start, could you? Just because, unfortunately, you've got no European football this season. Yeah. You're going to have to watch us.
Yeah. Should see the grin
for a long time.
Should see the grin on his face. We are going to talk about that a little bit later on. This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink, Newcastle fan, alongside Sunderland legend Micky Gray. It's day 3 of the first test between England and New Zealand at Lords, but unfortunately the weather has got in the way once again, hasn't it? talkSPORT's Sam Ellard.
Yeah, frustrating morning and afternoon so far. Play was supposed to start at 11 o'clock. We weren't able to do that because it was spitting and drizzling for the early parts of the morning. There was an hour period from 12 to 1 where it wasn't raining and it was sunny and the covers are off. But we decided to take lunch during that hour. So the 1 hour where we've had no rain, we didn't play any cricket because the players were taking lunch. We then get back going at 1 o'clock. We had 11 balls and then obviously it started spitting again. So the players went off. But thankfully it was a very, very short spell off the pitch for about 5 or 10 minutes because the rain has stopped and the players are back out. So Gus Atkinson has got the ball in hand. He's going to be bowling to Devon Conway. He's got 13 runs to his name. Rachin Ravindra yet to get off the mark. So New Zealand, they need 217 runs to win. England searching for 7 more wickets.
Sam, thanks very much indeed. We're playing New Zealand at 2 Sports today. Mickey, luckily not rugby. There's a World Cup warm-up game tonight in Florida live on talkSPORT. Thomas Tuchel has said that he's going to play 2 England teams, 45 minutes each. What are you expecting from this?
Well, I think it's just adapting to the temperatures. That's been spoke about quite a bit. It's going to be interesting to see if they have the breaks after 15, 20 minutes today as well, because that's something that we're going to have to get used to in the World Cup as well. It's what I find with that is it's an opportunity for coaches, if things aren't going well in those early periods, to change things around. So I think they're going to be vitally important. I think Stuart Pearce mentioned that as well, actually. It gives the coaches another opportunity just to have a word with the players. But I think those players on the fringes, you know, everybody's talked about the pitch. It's not looking great. I've just seen pictures of it before we came on air. It doesn't look great. Takes me back to my day when the pitches were terrible every single week. But yeah, the fringe players, it's how their mindset, you know, do I go out and do I impress the coach to try and get in that starting 11 for the first game when the World Cup comes around? Do I take it easy? Do I not want to get injured? So I'm not on that plane going to the World Cup. There's loads to be going through the players' minds. But I think what the players don't need to do is worry about them things. Because if you start worrying walking onto a football pitch, the things that you're worrying about will happen to you. But it's going to be interesting to see what the 2 11s are if he kind of mixes them around a little bit, because we know the Arsenal players are not going to be there. But I think you will probably get a sighter in this game of maybe what Tuchel's first 11 is going to be.
I want to ask you more about that pitch. There'll be plenty of England chat throughout the show. The game is live on talkSPORT a bit later on, but we have plenty of live racing today from Epsom, of course, including the Epsom Derby at 4 o'clock. Delighted to welcome in our crack commentary team who've been fantastic throughout the week so far. Former jockey Lizzie Kelly alongside talkSPORT's Rupert Bell. Rupert, how are you, sir?
Very good, Ollie. Lovely to talk to you. Fired up after a very quiet, sedate night last night.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
For the derby. I wasn't led astray at all by young Lizzie last night and Desperate Dan, my producer. So no, it's all been very good. But the weather's awful.
Yeah.
Up at our commentary position, we've got wind and rain driving in, and Lizzie's dressed for the Arctic.
Well, Lizzie, how much of an impact will that weather make today on some of the races going ahead?
Well, I think we'll know a bit more after this first one, Ollie, to be honest, because the jockeys will come back and give us a bit of feedback about what the ground is. I think realistically it will have a small impact, definitely. We'll know that for sure. It's just how much that's going to be. And we're obviously hoping that we don't get too much rain for the rest of the afternoon.
Rupert, there was some fantastic races yesterday, some fantastic performances. Thundering On is the horse I want to talk to you about. The brilliant victory in the Betfred Oaks. We brought you it live on talkSPORT 2, and what a win that was for Joseph O'Brien.
Yeah, both Lizzie and I are so impressed because the way this horse was kept out at the back for the most part, it was a wonderfully patient ride, and then he just picked off all comers, and with just a little squeeze with the horse, and the horse just went whoosh. And that was it. It was a most emphatic. And for Joseph O'Brien, well, he's the son of Aidan O'Brien. He's ridden 2 Derby winners himself. Now he's an Oaks winner. He's got a chance of winning the Derby this afternoon. But I have to say, Thundering On looked mighty impressive. The proof in the pudding will be later on in the season. But on evidence of yesterday, and I think Lizzie would agree with me, she's going to have a very bright future, an exciting future over the coming months.
Yeah, definitely.
And Lizzie,
we're going to be able to watch her for the rest of the season now, really.
I was going to ask you about Olly Murphy as well, because he got an Oaks Day treble, thanks in part to Seagulls 11. What a battle that was.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it was brilliant. And I think, you know, when you look at performances like that, it does make you really kind of look forward to the Derby today. And Joseph O'Brien obviously has James J. Braddock and running in the Derby today. Like, obviously his horses are in good form, and when other yards are firing, hopefully it will mean that the domination of Aidan O'Brien in the Derby, he may well win it this afternoon, but hopefully it will be a really decent competitive race.
And the other thing is, Olly Murphy's not even riding in the Derby. So you think our champion jockey, he can't get a ride in it because of the dominance almost of Aidan O'Brien. And actually, we've just seen Aidan O'Brien walking the course with his 4 jockeys and the entourage. It's, they go around like football managers. He's managing his 4 and what tactics they're going to adopt in the race later on. So it's fascinating what could happen. All looking at the weather, the ground, all sorts of imponderables. I was talking to Carl Burke. He's got a runner in the Coronation Cup, and he's trying to work out what the heck Aidan O'Brien's 3 in the Coronation Cup are going to do to try and work out tactics. I mean, it really, it's a sort of elevating the sport to a new level, that suddenly we've got team tactics going on with the other riders, trainers and jockeys trying to work out, well, how are we going to compete and what do we do to make sure we can run to our best effect.
And Rupert, is the Derby the one that they all still want to win?
I think it has its absolute relevance for the 3-year-old generation. For every trainer, I can vouch for that. This means so much. William Haggis is trying to win it for the first time for 30 years. I know what it means from a personal point of view. I bang on the fact that my brother's a Derby winning trainer, but what it meant to him is to find his career. Everything else will practically, his obituary, and he's not dying, I can assure you, and he's fighting fit and he's still training, will say Derby winning trainer. That's the significance of the race.
And Rupert, what kind of crowd numbers are expected? Is it going to be up on last year? I know that there's O Beach down at Epsom, is that right? They've got this big tent where you can go and enjoy the race. Sounds like a bit of you, that, I think.
Not me, Lizzie, and that. I may not be the target generation for it. But yes, but the thing is, the sad thing is the weather's so awful. The hill is where you can come for free. Well, and it's sort of open air. It's not going to drag up families, unfortunately. So the best laid plans of Epsom, they've got sell-out main enclosures. The King is due to arrive with his wife later on for the race by helicopter. A fairly scary helicopter ride it might be with the way the wind's blowing, but they're due later here this afternoon. So we get our first runners are down at the start for our first race. So, it's all systems go, but I just wish the weather would improve.
The King at O Beach, can you believe it? Right, it's nearly time for the 1:30, the Betfred Tattenham Corner Stakes. Let's hand over to you, Rupert Bell, alongside Lizzie Kelly.
Yep, interesting race this, 7 furlongs, and right at the top of the hill. What do you make of this one? Never So Brave is the short price favourite, with Oisin Murphy bidding for his 4th win of the meeting.
Yeah, she's Never So Brave has won a Group 1 at Group 1 level. That was last season. She won a Royal Ascot handicap. She was only beaten 4 lengths in a Group 1 over a mile on Champions Day. She was disappointing on his seasonal reappearance, but Oisin Murphy said to us yesterday that he didn't feel like that was going to hold him back today. He's obviously back down to Group 2 level. The fact that he's won over 7, which he's running over today, and 8 means that Oisin will be able to be quite aggressive with him if needed tactically, because he knows he's going to stay.
I'm afraid I'm having to shut the window because basically we've got a howling gale, driving rain. It's pretty, and we are at the top of this fabulous grandstand, but it's
we're getting rained on inside.
It's blowing a hoolie. I think might be a way of describing it. But so difficult conditions for the field as well, because there's a crosswind. So that's all going to play into the jockey's mind, how they deal with the conditions. Sort of with the goggles on, it's very wintry conditions. It's got a touch of Cheltenham about it in terms of the conditions, but not high summer. That's definitely not the case. But the runners are now being put away for our first of 5 races here live on talkSPORT. It is the Tattenham Corner Stakes, and they're off and running. Getting a good break is Witness Stand on the inside. Golden Mind is prominent early on, as is Poet Master. Towards the rear, I see Never So Brave being covered up, and towards the rear with Oisin Murphy as they go through the first furlong. And leading them along is Billy Loughnane, Billy the Kid on Witness Stand. He's with a free running Poet Master in second. Then it is 10 Bob Tony in third. Next up is Golden Mind. On the inside of that one is Bala Makara. Towards the rear of the field, we also see Alcantor, and Never So Brave, the favourite, is stone last at the moment, about 10 lengths back as they make the turn coming down the hill in out of Tattenham Corner.
Yeah, Chicago Critic just trying to get a little bit closer, but Witness Stand is trying to replicate Goodwood winning tactics by going forward really early.
And coming down the stand side now, coming across from Tattenham Corner near the is running on well. Witness Stand also picking up his Poet Master. 10 Bob Tony coming under a bit of pressure. Never So Brave has got a wall of forces in front of him. Oisin Murphy looking for a gap. Now Witness Stand coming under pressure. Poet Master and 10 Bob Tony, a line of 3. Never So Brave is 4 lengths back behind, and out in front though 10 Bob Tony. It's a 3-way go for the line inside the final half furlong. To Witness Stand bravely running. 10 Bob Tony on the far side. It's going to be a head bobber as they come to the line, and I think just snatching it is Kieran Schumacher on 10 Bob Tony. Very close in the end. Witness Stand rallied but couldn't find an extra change of gear. But it is 10 Bob Tony for Ed Walker and Kieran Schumacher, who I think is going to get it in the photograph. Yes, looks as if that is the case, Lizzie.
Yeah, really nice performance, and yet again more front-running winners. It's been so important over the last couple of days to be near the front. They just don't seem to be able to reel them back in. Watching that there, I'd say the ground has definitely softened.
Yep.
They're getting into it.
Yeah, they're mud-splattered jockeys, but so maybe an advantage to be out in front of. And Never So Brave never got into it at all. But it's it is 10 Bob Tony who is the winner at 11-2, beating Witness Stand with Poet Master in third. So a good race, and I tell you what, Dan is going to be very pleased that Kieran Schumacher is in good form, because Dan, our producer, owns a hair of the tail of She's Perfect, who's running in our next race.
Jammy Dan, as usual. Rupert, thank you very much indeed. Remember, Racing TV is the home of live British and Irish horse racing, showing every race from 61 racecourses. talkSPORT listeners can try the channel out for free with a 1-month trial. Simply head to racingtv.com/free trial. Now, OK, coming up next here on the Saturday session, we're going to get stuck into England ahead of their warm-up game with New Zealand, and we'll hear from the manager, Thomas Tuchel.
behaviours. Absolute wet wipes. Wow. Oh, he wore a PSG top. Oh, he jumped around. Wow. Do you know what? If it happened again tomorrow, I would do it again tomorrow. Wow. Up the Chelsea. Here we go. There she There she is. Look at that. Wow. Look at that bad boy.
He took it too far, Dino. He took it too far. He took it too far. Up the PSG. Up the PSG. Up the Champions League. Up the Chelsea. Oh, Cundy, you legend. We absolutely love you. Everyone loves you. Sports Bar loves you. The people love you. The Arsenal fans hate you. But who cares? Who cares? You've done it for everyone. Apart from that Chelsea lot. Apart from that Arsenal lot. Eh? Up the Champions League. And Arsenal absolutely bottled it. They bottled it. And I was so glad that he done what he done. And he took it.
I want more money. This is a joke.
We've got it in for you today, mate.
This is an absolute joke. Wise men say Sunderland's anthem. and do you know what happened? Micky Gray, during the break, he ripped off his headphones. He went straight into the gallery. He demanded this. He demanded this.
I've got my Sunderland shirt underneath.
Oh, no. No, don't get that out, please. At least our kit next season.
Well, there you go. We can have a bet at the end of this show, can't we, of who's going to finish higher in the Premier League next season. There you go. You have to wear a Sunderland shirt.
Oh, we can't make that deal, can we? What are you going to do?
Well, I'll have to put a Newcastle shirt on, won't I? Right. Mind you, I've seen it. We're going to talk about that later, I think. Dear me.
Yeah, I can scan you.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant stuff. This is the Saturday session with me, Olly Clink, Newcastle fan, alongside Sunderland legend Micky Gray, and I'll be wound up all the way up till 5 o'clock, I think. Micky, let's look at England then. They're playing New Zealand a bit later on tonight. We had a brief chat about it just before that race there. I want to talk to you about this pitch because if you haven't seen the pictures of it, it's on the talkSPORT website. Doesn't look great at all. And that immediately strikes a bit of fear into you, doesn't it, as an England fan, especially Harry Kane. I don't know why, but he's just the name, because if he goes, we're in a bit of trouble, really, aren't we?
Yeah, well, we are.
Do you wrap him up in cotton wool and just don't play him? Is it that bad?
I mean, that's what you'd want to do. But Harry Kane being Harry Kane will want to play every single minute. We know what he's like. It's a bizarre situation because I don't think we've seen pitches like that for a long, long time, certainly internationally. And there is a concern about it, which Thomas Tuchel's been asked about. I just wonder what the players are actually thinking about playing on a pitch like that. I know it's only going to be for 45 minutes, but it's your footing. Can you keep your footing? You know, what's it going to be like underfoot? Because I know I only got laid not long ago, did it? Are the players going to be concerned about it? I believe Thomas Tuchel's had a groundsman go over, I think, to have a look at the pitch. So it'll be interesting to see what his feedback is like and what's actually said before the players actually take to the field, because it would worry you. There's no doubt about it. If it's being laid and it's going to start cutting up, because players will be so cautious of, planting your foot. What's going to happen? Is it going to slide away from you? But they'll adapt to it pretty well. It's just, I think, initially walking onto it and seeing a pitch that's not something that these players are used to every single week.
There's also something quite interesting. The Bournemouth midfielder Alex Scott is going to make his senior international debut in this match, but he's not in the official squad for the World Cup. What do you make of that? Is it all a bit pointless?
Well, I think it is. I mean, not to Alex Scott, it's not. I mean, he'll be absolutely buzzing for it, won't he? And he'll probably be thinking in the back of his mind, look, if anything happens to any of these midfield players, I've still got to go out and perform for Thomas Tuchel, and I might get myself in that squad, which we've seen in the past, maybe not just from the England side of things, but other countries have had to do exactly the same thing. I mean, look, he's had an incredible season, a real talent, a young talent.
Do you think he was unlucky not to go? Especially with Jordan Henderson in there, which has been quite a controversial pick.
Yeah. We know the reasons, I think, why Jordan's in there, because of his leadership on and off the pitch as well, and what he's achieved in tournaments prior to this one. Look, off the top of my head, I think if other midfield players were going, you'd maybe look at a Cole Palmer and feel, I know it's maybe a different position, but that's not to say that we're not going to see Alex Scott in future tournaments, in Euros, in World Cups, because he's only 22, I think 23 years old. He's an incredible player. But if I was initially picking a squad, I don't think he would have been in mine. That's me being brutally honest with you. But what a talent and what an opportunity he's got tonight.
How are you feeling about England heading into this tournament? You feeling positive about it? Can they go far? How are you kind of reading it?
Well, I've got to say, I think Thomas Tuchel's made some really bold and tough decisions.
Have they been the right ones?
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we? But I think we had lots of conversations through the season with talkSPORT covering all the games in the Premier League Championship and where maybe sat alongside Adrian and the rest of the guys. Yeah,
luckily you're usually miles away from me. Up north, I'm down here.
Yeah. But I think one of the conversations probably we had most was who's going to go in the squad. Is it going to be Cole Palmer or is it going to be Phil Foden? Not is it going to be 2 or is it going to be 0? That was really bold for me. But I think where you've got to give him a little bit of credit is he said, I need to pick a team rather than individuals. And Cole Palmer's form wasn't brilliant through the season. Phil Foden's, as we know, wasn't great through the season as well. So I think, that was a tough decision to leave both of them out.
Yeah. Let's hear from the England manager, Thomas Tuchel. He's been with talkSPORT's Fake or others who asked him yesterday what he wants to get out of the 2 warm-up games coming up.
We want to share the minutes tomorrow, 45, give everyone who stays with us in the tournament hopefully 45 minutes tomorrow. That's the plan, and I think that's the main target. Then we, like I said, we tried to reconnect already with the things that made us strong in the last camp. So we want to see some of these patterns offensively and defensively, and take care of that to take then the next step against Costa Rica and be then ready to prepare on the highest quality against Croatia. But I can feel that the energy is coming, which is normal after a little bit of a break for the players. So every day it gets a bit easier for them. Every day the excitement is a bit bigger. Every day training is a bit sharper, and it's just a good occasion to change of rhythm, to get out of the training clothes and get into a shirt and play in a stadium. And I think it's the right moment now after 4 intense training sessions, and we're looking forward to it.
Interesting you said there that all the players that are staying with us will get 45 minutes each, because there's been reports that Alex Scott will get minutes. And obviously he's the only one of the youngsters that you've brought over that's on the list of 55. Yeah. Is that the thinking with that?
Well, the thinking at the moment is that every one of our 19 player, I think it is our 19 player, they need the 45 minutes, and we need to move around the players a little bit, because we have 3 number 9s and we have 9 defenders for 8 positions tomorrow. So twice a back 4 is 8 positions, but we have 9. So one of them needs to play out of position if we want to play them, and then it has some consequences. Where if we would now push, for example, Reece James on a 6, but then we have suddenly 3 6s, or if we let someone else play on the number 8 position, that is not finally decided. You have to wait until tomorrow. All of them can have, one of them will get a cap of the youngsters, and of course Alex would also deserve it, but it's not decided yet.
Reece James in a 6, is that an option going forward as well then?
That's always an option. He plays there on highest level for Chelsea, and he is always an option on a 6.
I'm sure you've seen the photographs of the pitch in Tampa, and are there any concerns for you on that?
Yeah, hopefully not yet, but you make me all concerned because you ask me all the question about the pitch, and now I am concerned. I wasn't before the press conference. People tell me, and our greenkeeper, I think, went there, and they tell me it will be okay, and it should be okay, and let's hope it's okay. If we find out tomorrow it is not okay, then again, we will adapt. We will adapt and maybe change some decisions, but at the moment we plan to play 2 full teams of 45 minutes.
Interesting answer there, I think, about Reece James potentially playing in midfield in that number 6 role. I mean, the role of fullbacks has changed a lot, hasn't it, Micky, as you'll know for sure. What do you think about that? Do you think that could be a viable option?
Yeah, without a doubt. I thought he played some of his best games for Chelsea this season in midfield. He's got such an array of passing ability. He can adapt and he can settle into that midfield area. There's not a problem for me whatsoever. It's interesting, though, another name that he left out, Trent Alexander-Arnold, because I thought that could have been a position. If you're looking for somebody to try and break down a back line, I would have looked at maybe a Reece James, definitely a Trent Alexander-Arnold, because I think that's maybe something in that midfield area that we haven't got. So putting Reece James in there would give, I don't know, Konsa or Livramento an opportunity in that right-back position. I mean, he talked about maybe playing a striker out wide. I suppose that could possibly be Marcus Rashford playing on the right-hand side of a 3 up front. Because I think also as well, I mean, I'm throwing loads of names here, but Ivan Toney needs game time. Certainly playing for his country, because he was a name that came onto the squad list very, very late instead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think it was. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? What system he sets up, whether he adapts and changes that system, maybe having a look at maybe when we get to the latter stages, or hopefully when we get to the latter stages of this tournament, if he needs to adapt and change things around in the second 45 minutes. We've got these 2 games, and I think this is why it's so important for the players that he's mentioned, the players that are on the fringes, that they get game time and maybe find out more of an expectation level of what Thomas Tuchel wants.
Yeah, really interested in that number 9 position and the options that he does have there. And you mentioned Ivan Toney needs game time. We're going to chat about that in a bit more detail in just a moment here on the Saturday session.
Perez, for his part, has promised he'll appoint Jose Mourinho as manager if he's elected.
She's done it, already.
Well, that's what he wants to do, but he's got to get elected to make it official. Riquelme, meantime, for his part, is saying no to Mourinho. He's promised to make Madrid legend Raúl his sporting director and will not appoint Mourinho. He says, if I win the elections, I will bring to Real Madrid a superstar manager, the biggest manager you can imagine. Jose Mourinho is not that manager. He promised also, and this is where it gets interesting, to sign Manchester City midfielder Rodri, as well as Erling Haaland.
This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside Micky Gray. There has been a wicket at Lords. Sam Ellard.
New Zealand 53 for 4, and Ratchin Ravindra's really poor test match continues. He's just been bowled by Ollie Robinson for 8. He got a duck in the first innings. He dropped a couple of absolute dollies. He made 8 runs, and Robinson gets him. Coming from the nursery end, going around the wicket to the left-handed bat, angling the ball into him. Maybe kept the touch low, and he takes out his off-stump. Another wicket bowled here at Lords, the home of cricket. It's been on-off for the last hour or so. But at the moment, the rain is away, and England are chasing 6 more wickets for victory. So Robinson, who picked up 5 wickets in the first innings on his long way to return to the Test match arena, has his first wicket of this innings, bowling Ratchin Ravindra for 8 runs. Devon Conway, who has been short of runs for New Zealand, is still at the crease at the top of the order. He's unbeaten on 19. New man to the crease is going to be Daryl Mitchell, though he's not going to be on strike at the moment. Josh Tongue is going to bowl to Devon Conway, and given how this wicket is playing and the conditions, those 201 runs needed for New Zealand look a long, long way away. New Zealand 53 for 4. They need a further 201 runs for victory.
Yeah, what a return for Robinson, and England looking good at Lords there in the test against New Zealand. The first, it's day 3. As Sam mentioned, they have been on-off because of the weather, but England in a very good position there. Remember, by the way, if you're listening overseas, you can find ball-by-ball commentary on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. Micky Gray, let's have a quick chat then about that number 9 position. We've actually had a text on 81089 from Darren talking about Ivan Toney, saying he might be a bit of a dark horse for England at this tournament because he's used to that crazy heat. He's been scoring goals. He's adapted his game to compensate. There's a bit of criticism, isn't there, about the fact that he's playing in the Saudi League. But could you go back and say, yeah, but we've seen him do it in the Premier League. We know he does have that quality.
Yeah, it's not like he's lost his fitness levels or anything like that. No, he's gone across to Saudi and he's actually scored goals. I remember listening to Thomas Tuchel when he was announcing his squad, and he said one of the reasons I've put him in the squad is for penalties. Now, I don't think Ivan Toney will be wanting to come on in the final 2 or 3 minutes of games just because he's there to step up and take a penalty. I think he want to play a bigger part in that. Look, I have to say with Ivan Toney, when he was in the Premier League, from afar watching on TV, I thought he was a good player. And then I saw him play at Old Goodison Park at Everton for Brentford, and I realised how good he was. His hold-up play, flick-ons, he was a team player, and I thought you're better than I thought you were. And he'd be chomping at the bit, ready to go. There's no question of that. But I think also, if let's, for instance, say Harry Kane, he's tired or he has a problem in one of the games, or we get the opportunity to make those changes because we're comfortable in the game, I would be quite happy with Ivan Toney coming on to the pitch because I think he's still got that hunger. I certainly think he's a goal scorer. And with the wide players that we've got, he'll get chances. There's no question. So I think he's a good addition.
When it comes to that rotation, we know that Thomas Tuchel likes to do it anyway. We saw that at Chelsea, but I feel that at this World Cup too, he's gonna want to manage those minutes quite a lot. I mean, are we talking that when they get to that Panama game and hopefully everything's gone well in the first 2 group games against Croatia and Ghana, do you feel as if it could be a situation where he can make, 11 changes?
Yeah,
9
I do. The only problem that you got is, let's for instance say Harry Kane gets 4 goals in his first 2 games and he wants to finish with a golden boot. I think all the strikers will want to play against Panama. But I think this is one of the reasons when I look at Thomas Tuchel's squad and I think he's picked a team rather than individual players. And I think Harry Kane, there's no question, is a team player. And Thomas Tuchel just has to have a quiet word and say, look, I know you want to play, I know you want to score goals, but I need to give you a rest. Because we've seen in previous tournaments, when we get to the latter stages, we've looked absolutely shattered. So he's going to have to make those changes. And I think that's one thing that Thomas Tuchel will do. If they get themselves in a position, let's for instance say in the first 3 games, in the group stages, where they can make those changes and give fringe players, if you like, 25 to 30 minutes, maybe even more than that, I think Thomas Tuchel will do that. because they've got to try and keep that squad as fresh as you possibly can when you do get to quarterfinals, semi-finals, and hopefully finals.
Yeah, JB's text is saying Watkins should be the man that plays against Panama, like you've pointed out there, Micky, or Tony, I guess. But it might be that Watkins is that second choice number 9 that Thomas Tuchel wants to use. In terms of Kane, I think you're right when you mentioned the fact that especially the last Euros, and I think he had a bit of a back problem as well, didn't he? And we just didn't see Kane at his very best. Do you think the fact, though, that he's been in the Bundesliga, I think his minutes have been managed really well by Vincent Kompany, we could be seeing a very, very fresh Harry Kane heading into this tournament too?
Yeah, and I think he's ready. When we've got to the latter stages, now it's so hard, and I don't really want to criticise Harry Kane, but when you get to semi-finals and finals, like we have done in the Euros and obviously the World Cups, he's looked like he's got nothing left. Whether he's, carrying a little injury, as you just mentioned there before, and I think that's where he needs help. Maybe it's just down to the fact that Harry Kane is that good, that it's so difficult for a coach or a manager to bring Harry Kane off in the last 15, 20 minutes of a game, because if you're searching for a goal, you want Harry Kane on the pitch. But if it's Ollie Watkins, or if it's Ivan Toney, or even Marcus Rashford, who I mentioned there before, who can play as a striker, if it's one of those 3 players that come on to replace Harry Kane for the final 10 or 15 minutes of a game, I don't think we should have any concerns. I really don't, because I look at all those players, they've got something a little bit different about them. Ollie Watkins' form has been incredible towards the end of the season. Ivan Toney, we just touched on there, I think will be a very good impact player. And Marcus, he hasn't done too bad at Barcelona either.
Yeah, very true. By the way, we're giving you the chance to win a trip to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, courtesy of Adidas. You and a mate could be in New York on June the 27th, seeing England against Panama live. We've got your flights, hotel, spending money, match tickets, and the official Triunda match ball all covered. Head to talksportwin.com to enter, and for full T's and C's now.
Crookie, what about Elliot Anderson? We're led to believe that opening bid from City has been knocked back from Forest. Is it just a case of a matter of time this one getting over the line?
I think so, and again, no surprise that City have tried to make their move early. We were told at talkSPORT a couple of weeks ago that in an ideal world, Elliot Anderson's future would be sorted before he kicks his first ball for England at the World Cup. Obviously, City are trying to get this one done. We know that Evangelos Marinakis can be a difficult negotiator. Just ask Tottenham and Morgan Gibbs-White from this time last year. But all the information I have is that City have always been Elliot Anderson's preferred choice, despite the fact there's also interest from Manchester United. This is a deal I do expect to happen. And again, it comes back to what we said at the start of the section. Real Madrid and Rodri, if they get Elliot Anderson in, could the time be right to cash in?
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? Well, the Super Bowl halftime show does exactly that. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest ever in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first edition of the Super Bowl was held in 1967 when the Green Bay Packers beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Los Angeles. Because of the sheer size of the event, organisers wanted to put on entertainment at halftime for the fans in the stadium. It was a display of marching bands, dancers and pure USA patriotism, and that was the theme that followed for years. In the 1980s, the Walt Disney Company got involved and we started seeing some interesting and questionable displays. But we got our first glimpse of halftime shows to come in '93 when none other than Michael Jackson stunned fans with his 15-minute medley of his own smash hits. When he walked out on stage, he had to wait for the crowd's cheers to die down for about 2 minutes before even starting his first song. Diana Ross, Gloria Estefan, Phil Collins all starred in their own shows, as did Aerosmith, who performed alongside NSYNC. Things got a little bit out of hand in 2004 when Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson produced perhaps the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction in history. Shows from the likes of Prince, Lady Gaga and Beyoncé are considered by critics as the best. To give you an idea of the scale of things, Rihanna's 2023 halftime show included roughly 800 people. These ranged from backing dancers to stage crew to camera operatives broadcasting to millions around the world. The whole stage for that show was built in roughly 8 minutes and was broken down and cleared away in the same time. The acts perform for free nowadays, even though the experts reckon it costs around $13 million to put on Rihanna's show. Artists know they'll rocket up the charts in the following weeks. Rihanna's average sales improved by 140% in the months following her performance. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who knows?
This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink. I'm alongside the former England fullback, Micky Gray. We've had another text, Micky, from Jeff, who says, firstly, he says Tony scored more goals than Ronaldo in the Saudi League, which is an interesting point. And there's another text here saying that if Watkins plays well against Panama, he should start the game in the last 32. We're anticipating a quarter-final against Mexico in Mexico City, where we'll need a fresh Kane massively. Now, for me, Kane's got to start when it's the knockouts. I'm sorry, he's got to. There's keeping him fresh, but there's getting him on the pitch.
Look, if Harry Kane's fit, Harry Kane starts. Thomas Tuchel absolutely loves him, and that's no disrespect to any of the other strikers that we've got in the squad, which is why, in an ideal world, you win against Croatia, you beat Ghana, he can make wholesale changes in that Panama game. That's when the likes of Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney, Marcus Rashford should be given their opportunity. As good as Harry Kane is, if you're already through to the knockout stages, that's exactly the way that he will want it to work out.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely bang on there. And maybe we're underestimating Panama, Micky. You've got to be careful, mate.
I hope not.
We've seen it with England before.
Yeah, we have
We've seen it before. Do you know what? I think it's. I need to check this. It's a long time, very long time since England won all of their group games at any tournament. I think it's going back to like the 80s.
We never do it easy, do we?
No, never. So yeah, it's good not to assume all of that. Right, we've got more live racing from Epsom for you. It's the Princess Elizabeth Stakes. Let's bring back in your commentary team, the former jockey Lizzie Kelly, alongside talkSPORT's Rupert Bell.
Yeah, welcome back. It's blowing a right old hoolie. It's driving rain. It's absolutely miserable, but the Ocean Beach Club, or whatever it's called, is rocking. So it's absolutely probably one of the few sheltered places in the course. So the people there who've got tickets there are very happy indeed. But we've got a good race here, and particularly you may hear some very loud noises in the back because Dan, who is twiddling our knobs here to make sure we're stay on air, has got a bit of a share in the third favourite here, She's Perfect. But is Dan going to be celebrating, or do you think, Lizzie, objectively, celebrating with She's Perfect or something else going to win?
I think She's Perfect's got a really good chance. She was only beaten a nose in the Group 1 last season in Longchamp. She didn't quite do so well in the Prix de Diane, but obviously that was over a mile too, and she just didn't get home. She's got soft ground here today, but that will also suit Sparks Fly as well, who's 7-2 here, so second favourite behind Pina Sonata. And Sparks Fly, she's won a Group 3 on very soft ground. We're just looking at She's Perfect here. Connor Schumacher on board. As
Kieran
usual.
Connor Schumacher used to be a jump jockey when you were in a weighing room with him, okay? Kieran Schumacher's
he
always
was
been
my friend, sorry. Not him.
Yeah, not him.
His brother, Kieran. Just looks like he's just trying to keep her settled. She looks a little bit buzzy, a little bit sweated up, but the rest are all pretty relaxed.
I'll just look at Dan. Is that a good sign? She's sweating up? No, he's grimaced. Oh dear. But She's Perfect is being back though, and it was really lost that race in the stewards' room, much to the frustration of all and sundry. Probably if in the same race had been run in this country, she wouldn't have been disqualified. It was a big moment for the team, but in this race she does have an opportunity. Sparks Flies is interesting. Laura Pearson, talented jockey. This horse is having to give weight away to the field. Ariseg, just to remind you, is a non-runner because of the rain-softened ground.
But Sparks Fly was good, wasn't she, when she was behind Lambourne in the Huxley Stakes at Chester last time? And that's obviously Group 2 level. And I thought that was a pretty decent run.
And Lambourne's running in the next race that we have here, the Coronation Cup, and last year's Derby winner. So that's why that form on paper looks the pick, and why this horse is she's having to give weight away to her rivals, and a big chance for Laura Pearson to have a winner on Derby Day as well. So
it's probably worth just talking about Pina Sonata, the favourite. She struggled at Group 1 level last season when she did run in a Group 1. She found it too much. This is obviously a Group 3, so we're a couple of rungs lower than that now. But I thought she fared really well when she won at Kempton last time. That was listed, so we're level below this today.
But on the all-weather, though.
It was on the all-weather, yeah.
Which might mean some horses act far better on that than they do on, and that might be the one negative. But the market is suggesting she's the one to beat, and they're loading them pretty quickly for this race. The second on the card, just getting a little bit fractious in the stalls. There was Pacific Mission, the mount of Colin Keane. Comes forward, She's Perfect goes sweetly into the stalls. Looks as if they're set and they're off for the extended mile hill. The early part of the course is uphill. Going into an early lead, Betty Clover's right up there, and also Sparks Fly is a line of 4 and just being restrained. Pina Sonata wanted to go a little bit quicker, but jockey is just keeping tacked in behind Sparks Fly. Wide on the outside, She's Perfect making a forward move. Also travelling nicely in behind that one is Pacific Mission. On the inside of that one is Becky Clover. Then we see on the next one is Breckenborough, and towards the rear of the field, in fact in last spot, is Love Dynasty as they make the turn. There's no more than 4 lengths, but looks a generous pace here.
Yeah, they're not hanging around, and obviously She's Perfect and Sparks Fly, they're making sure they're right at the front, and we've seen that to success this weekend.
And they come down Tattenham Corner, and then they'll what seems to be the Wade here is they'll tack across to the stand side, and leading them now in Sparks Fly in driving rain. Then it's a length back to She's Perfect. On the inside, hugging the rail is Pina Sonata, trying to go the shortest way. Coming under a bit of pressure is Betty Clover, coming under pressure is Pacific Mission, and riding right across the course, Sparks Fly and Laura Pearson have decided they're going to go the shortest route. They're going on the far side, and on this near side it looks as if Betty Clover is up there. She's Perfect, and that is 6 runners on that side, while Sparks Fly is in splendid isolation. Is she in the lead, picking up Pacific Mission? Sparks Fly may have it on the far side. They have spread the width of the course, and Sparks Fly, she may have stolen this one. She's gone the shortest route. At the moment she's out in front, and actually she's so far out in front. A stunning move, Sparks Fly, when all the rest went over to the stand side. Well, Sparks Fly, practically walking across the line. Sparks Fly is one, running on into second, but a long way back coming up this stand side was Love Dynasty. But Laura Pearson said, right, go and have your own race, I'll do my own thing. Very clever, and has made the others look stupid.
Yeah, what a fantastic piece of tactical race riding, and that is just what it's all about. Sometimes you have to do something different, maybe a little bit unexpected, and you know, she would have looked a fool if it had gone wrong, but she's gambled and it's paid off.
Well, not just paid off, that was probably, well, she could have won by 20 lengths. I don't know what the official winning margin was, but the 7-2 chance, really intelligent. All the others, and we're just looking at the replay with She's Perfect, they all just go across, and yet she says, no, I'll go the shortest route. While they're having to run a little bit further, she's stolen the race. That was And just to confirm, Love Dynasty in second, and Pacific Mission is third. Unfortunately, She's Perfect didn't run her race, but for Sparks Fly, what a good moment for Laura Pearson.
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Wonderful result.
Okay, well, Sparks Fly. Now we got the first of our Group 1 races. It's the Coolmore Coronation Cup coming up next, and this could be an absolute ripper.
Can't wait for it. Rupert Bell, thank you very much indeed. Sparks Fly leaving them in the dust then. Remember, we're bringing you the Epsom Derby live at 4 o'clock here on talkSPORT. Looking forward to that. And Racing TV is the home of live British and Irish horse racing, showing every race from 61 racecourses. talkSPORT listeners can try the channel out for free with a 1-month trial. Simply head to racingtv.com/free trial. Now, England's opponents tonight, New Zealand, are managed by an Englishman, and they have 9 UK-based players, including captain, Newcastle legend, of course, Chris Wood, and Peterborough midfielder Matt Garbett, who our resident posh fan, Adrian Durham, caught up with yesterday. Matt told Adrian it's all a bit surreal to be at a World Cup.
I've been in camp for about, I want to say 3 weeks now, 2-3 weeks. I came in a bit earlier to keep ticking along and, to sort of acclimatise to the conditions and whatnot. And, it's starting to really come now with the friendlies before the World Cup that, we're here for a World Cup. So I'm extremely excited. Sort of a full circle moment for myself, dream as a kid and whatnot. So, buzzing.
So when they qualified in 2010 and drew the 3 games, were you watching then? How old were you then?
Well, funny enough, I was at that qualifying game which made us go through, and it was against Bahrain in 2009 in my home city, Wellington. So I was there when we won. I think it was 1-0. And then I obviously watched the games when it was in South Africa on the telly at home. And I think it's still to date we're the only unbeaten team at the World Cup. I think 3 draws, but I was watching.
So were you inspired by all of that?
Most definitely. I think we've got a couple of players now that were at that 2010 World Cup in the squad, and with one of the physios here that we're all very tight with. He was there as well, and he tells us good stories and how good it was. And we sort of have our goals and ambitions and want to try to get out of the group here, and we have real belief that we could.
What about England then? It's a huge moment for you. You play in England and you're playing against the best of England in that England team. This is like magical for you, isn't it? You must be thinking, wow, I've got a point to prove as well, because you've had an injury hit season, first season in England, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I was injured for about 7 weeks, but the luxury of playing in Champ or in League One, you get to play like 55 games, so I still played 35 games. But yeah, obviously being in England now for 8 months, sort of that culture. I've been in a few countries in Italy, Sweden and Holland. Being in England, you realise how football crazy they are, and it's talked about all the leagues through the country. And then obviously when the England game came out, the fixture against New Zealand, they would be playing England in a friendly. All the boys were sort of talking about it. So obviously playing against England will be a real test.
I must ask you about the pitch there. You trained on the pitch. It looks like it's like little carpet squares, and it's just been relayed. And there's a lot of concern among the England camp who haven't seen it yet. But you guys trained on it. So what was it like? Was it difficult? Is it likely to cause injury? What's going on?
It was tough. I'll be honest, it was tough. Even us boys were thinking like, is it artificial underneath? If they relayed it over it? But apparently it's a grass pitch. They might have just relayed it. And it gets really dry really quickly. So I'm hoping, and I'm sure England are hoping as well, that they do really water it, and especially in the water breaks, they can actually get some water on the pitch, because it does dry up quite quickly. So. In terms of injury, hopefully don't have to think about that, but it does dry up quite quickly, and you can see that they have relayed it very recently.
Peterborough and New Zealand midfielder Matt Garbett there with our very own Adrian Durham. Do you know who else is in the New Zealand squad, Micky? Do you know who else is in there? A guy called Ben Waine.
Ben Waine?
Do you remember him?
No.
Plays for Port Vale. Does that jog your memory? He's the Newcastle fan that scored against Sunderland.
Oh, right, yeah.
Knocked them out of the FA Cup. It's the only thing I've got on you. It's genuinely the only thing I've got.
Is that as low as we're going, is it?
What a celebration, the Shearer. Oh, it's fantastic.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, that really is all I've got. Which is interesting hearing him talk about the pitch there and the few concerns that he does have for it. But it is also nice to hear, and it's what the World Cup's all about, isn't it? The players like Matt Garbett who play in the lower leagues, getting to test themselves against the world's best.
Yeah.
Look, this is only a friendly, this one, but they're still going to be up against some of the biggest names in football.
It's massive for them, and I think you could hear from Ben there, how excited they are. I think what I took from that, from the pitch side of things, was him saying, "Is it 3G or AstroTurf?" I think he might have said, and also, are they good if they're going to wet the pitch before kickoff? Well, if that turf has been laid, I think the last thing you'd want to do is put water on it, because in the cuts in where you put the turf down is probably where it's going to split. I honestly think it's going to be a bit of a concern. And it's something that maybe in the stadium they should have looked at a lot earlier. I think maybe both coaches maybe should have had a look a lot earlier as well. Because there's no doubt, and there's no stopping it as well, because we're only human beings. In the back of your mind, you are thinking, I hope I don't lose my foot in here.
Well, Japan have moved camps because the state of the pitch wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So that's something they're taking very seriously indeed. So it does show that these teams are thinking about the safety of their players and everything going forward at this World Cup. Maybe Thomas Tuchel can suggest walking football tonight.
Do you know the interesting thing about it is, right? I mean, it's probably too late to cancel the game. And I know we've had a greenkeeper gone across and had a look at the pitch, and I'm sure the information will have gone back to the coaches at England and to Thomas Tuchel. If it is that bad, and let's hope that it's not, because we all obviously want to watch the game tonight, what a call that would be if he actually pulled out of it. I mean, I'm sure they can't do that now, but if the pitch seems to be as bad as what people are saying, and even the New Zealand players are saying exactly the same thing, then there might be a call out there for both sides to say, look, let's call it a day. We cannot play on this pitch.
God, that would be something.
It'd be horrible.
Yeah, I tell you what would be horrible. We'd probably have to stay on air.
I don't mind that, mate.
Live commentary of the game a bit later. England against New Zealand is live on talkSPORT. Right, up next here on the Saturday session, Andoni Iraola is the new man in at Liverpool. Is it the right call, though? We'll chat about that next.
Let's talk about the World Cup then in a bit more detail. England, of course, touched down in America ahead of the competition. Let me get your views on the squad. Lots of players that a lot of people should have been in it weren't. Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Gibbs White, Adam Wharton, Trent, of course, Harry Maguire being another one. What have you made of the squad and the players that aren't going?
All of them players are the real technicians. Adam Wharton, Foden, Cole Palmer, Trent. And Trent. So my opinion personally is the majority of them players should have gone, because I think that holding the ball in a World Cup is the most crucial thing, and being that team. But Thomas has gone the other way. Thomas, you can see he's picked by the team he's picked. It's going to be a sort of low to mid block, and he's going to look for counter-attacking football, right? So personally, I would have done it differently, but I like the fact that he's picked the type of players for his style of football that he thinks going to do it. And like, we're still a week gone from the squad, and we're
very good afternoon. Hope you're having a great Saturday. This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside the former England fullback, Micky Gray. I'll keep calling you former England, I think. No more mentions of the Mackems. We will chat about that a bit later on. We're also going to talk about the shortlist for the PFA Player of the Year. Interested to hear Micky's take on that. You are, of course, also our Manchester football correspondent, and there's plenty of players from both Manchester United and Manchester City in the mix for that. First, though, we need to speak about Liverpool, Micky, because Andoni Iraola has been appointed as their new manager. It was a few days after Arne Slot was sacked. What was your reaction to Iraola getting the job?
I'm not surprised. Everybody's now thinking, yes, you've done an incredible job at Bournemouth, but now you're walking into the Lions' Den, if you like, in a massive club like Liverpool. Can you stamp your authority on a club as big as Liverpool? And personally, I think he can. I think he always comes across, having interviewed him at the end of games and obviously watching his press conferences throughout the whole of the season. I think he's such a level-headed guy. But I think, first and foremost, what he's been put in Liverpool for is attacking and stylish football. And we saw that every single week with his Bournemouth side.
I think Bournemouth played the best football last season.
Yeah, if you wanted a season ticket... Look, I've said this before about when Jurgen Klopp was at Liverpool. I know they only won one Premier League and the Champions League. If you were going to have a season ticket, you would have had it at Liverpool. Even though Man City were winning everything, I loved watching Liverpool. And I think last season, if you were offered a season ticket, I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen Bournemouth every single week. I thought they were a breath of fresh air. They were great on the eye. They just attacked with pace. They looked like they scored great goals every single week. There was young, talented players, two, Krupi and Ryan. I mean, you wouldn't mind watching them two players every single week. What a future them two players have got. But they were just excellent to watch. Win, lose or draw. They just went for it. And I think if he takes a little bit of that to Liverpool, yeah, there's huge pressure on him. No question. But he wants to be at the top level and he deserves his opportunity at one of the top clubs. He's been given that opportunity. I think this summer's a big one for him. First and foremost, keeping the players that he's got or the ones that he wants to keep and keeping them fit. They had a lot of injury problems last season, didn't they? But I think also filling that gap on the right-hand side is a huge ask.
How do they do that? Is this like for like? You try and get the next superstar, the next Mo Salah, which is unbelievably difficult to do, or do you almost moneyball it and you get a couple of players who play there? To be honest, I think the way that I read it is they've signed two excellent strikers in Hugo Ekitike and, dare I say it, Alexander Isak. Obviously, you haven't seen Isak at his absolute best yet. You know, that's because he's had an injury and didn't have a pre-season for some reason. But is it actually not replacing Salah? It's finding someone on that right-hand side who's going to get the best out of those two. Is that going to be more important than replacing the goals from Salah like for like?
Well, this is one of the big calls that you can kind of get away with at Bournemouth. The two players I just mentioned in Krupi and Ryan, you know, you can't literally do that at a club like Liverpool. They have to be tried and tested, if you like, and ready-made to go straight into a side like Liverpool. We've seen the emergence of younger players being given their opportunity at Liverpool through this season, Ngamo being one of them. But to ask a young player of that age, 17, 18, to go into a side like Liverpool and replace somebody like Mo Salah is pretty much impossible. So I think they do have to go out and bring in the right personnel to play on that right-hand side. I think a lot of people have actually mentioned, and it's not going to happen now, was Semenyo maybe the perfect fit to play on that right-hand side for Liverpool. But obviously he's now gone to Manchester City. There's been talk of Jarrod Bowen. A couple of other players from the Bundesliga, I think, as well have been mentioned.
Do you think Jarrod Bowen's got the quality for that kind of role?
I do, yeah. Got asked this through the summer as well. It's not nice for any West Ham supporter to hear that they're going to be losing their best player, but Jarrod Bowen needs to be playing in the Premier League, and he'll probably want to play in the Premier League. And if any player from that West Ham side from last season deserved to move, then it will be Jarrod Bowen. There's no question of it. And he could certainly fit into that Liverpool side just because of the way that he plays. He's dynamic, and that's what Liverpool need to get back to. When I watched Liverpool last season, they started to try and play out from the back, playing it to the full-backs, then trying to go through midfield. And that's it just didn't work for Mo Salah. It's not the way that he plays. It's not to say that he's not a wonderful football player, because we all know he is. But if you see him, rock and roll, I think, got mentioned, didn't it? Is Liverpool football, and that's what Mo Salah was to me, was a rock and roll footballer.
It was
And that's
boring
the
to
way
watch at times on the slot.
last season they were. Yeah, it was awful. The first season, I don't think he kind of adapted the team as much as what we saw season that we've just came out of. It was slow, it was languid, it looked like the players weren't enjoying the style that Arne Slot had brought to Liverpool last season. So I think they've got to try and get back to that rock and roll football, and I think people like Jarrod Bowen would certainly fit into that starting 11 with Ekitike and Isak, the two players that you mentioned there before.
Just on that style, we know that Iraola hasn't managed a team that have been in Europe. We know that he likes hard training sessions. He likes to kind of run those players into the ground. I think as well, when you hear players like Alex Scott talking about him as a manager, you've got to remember his first 9 games at Bournemouth, he didn't win a single one. And Alex Scott has talked about the fact that it was because they were getting used to what he was asking from them. I think, firstly, how patient can the Liverpool fans be in this scenario? And how patient do you think they will be?
I think they'll be patient. The expectations will be to get off to a good start for Iraola, because he'll want to start winning football matches as quick as he possibly can. But I think the good thing is, and they're not going to get a lot of time because obviously of the World Cup going on and certain players are not going to be there. They're going to get a pre-season. And I think that pre-season is absolutely key. You mentioned there Isak saying he didn't have a pre-season while he was at Newcastle, which still is a little bit bizarre. But he needs a pre-season because he's got to get off and start running straight away, because it was a stop-start season for him. Scoring goals, then he was injured. Obviously, he had a bad injury, which was unfortunate, but he will know the importance of getting off to an important start. And I'm talking about Isak, Iraola here, and whatever players that he brings into the side, and how they're going to play under Iraola. Can they do exactly what he was doing when he was Bournemouth manager? No, he can't. It needs to change. But I think the experience of him as a manager or a coach, but also, let's not forget, he had a good footballing career as well at Athletic Club.
Yeah.
Athletic Bilbao. And I think that will stand him in good stead walking into a dressing room full of big stars.
Yeah, and also a club like Liverpool. I think Bilbao's, it's got similarities, hasn't it, in terms of how important that football club is to the region.
Well, it has, yeah. Look, I'm not saying, on a scale, which is the bigger club. I mean, I think we all know that Liverpool is obviously a massive club around the world. It's a globally huge football club and a really successful one. But do I think they needed change? Personally, I do, because I think it got a little bit toxic at the end under Arne Slot. When they started to get knocked out of the Champions League, when it looked like they weren't going to finish in the top 4. I think you could sense that the Liverpool supporters had kind of had enough. But there's one thing that Liverpool fans will always do. Win, lose or draw, they'll always back the manager. And I think that's what Iraola's got behind him right now. And I think this summer's an important one for him, whether it is just a right winger that they bring in. I don't think it will be. I think there'll be other players that walk through the door. Midfield area, certainly somewhere where I think they can change. And dare I say it, Virgil van Dijk's not getting any younger.
Nope.
And Alisson might be moving as well, as talk of Juventus. That speculation's not going. So I think it's a big summer for Iraola, Liverpool, whether they want to build a squad that's going to challenge for Champions League football or a squad that's going to challenge for Premier League titles.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, isn't it, how he gets on. By the way, the World Cup is just days away, of course, and there are less than 2 weeks until England take on Croatia. We've just released a fresh batch of tickets for our World Cup fan zone in Birmingham for only 15 quid all in. And yes, that includes a free pint too. Lucky you. Join over 2,500 fans at the region's largest fan zone event to watch the action on the UK's biggest screen. We're bringing the ultimate matchday vibe with the talkSPORT Battle Bus. That's going to be down there. Appearances from Gabby Agbonlahor. He might have changed his PSG shirt for an England one. And other presenters. Massive DJ sets too, including from Happy Mondays, the legend that is Bez. Head to talksport.com/fanzone right now. Don't miss out. That's talksport.com/fanzone.
he's the sort of player, Andy, that you can't really look at age, because he could play at this level for another 4 or 5 years at least.
Do you think that long?
Yeah, I do.
31. You think he could be playing?
Doesn't rely on his pace.
No, he doesn't. But it's very rare you get great players. Even look at Mo Salah, right? Last season before last was. Yeah,
you know
well, I didn't look at Salah and thought his pace had gone. His just whole game went all of a sudden overnight.
I think when I watched him, he didn't look as quick. But I feel like Bruno Fernandes. Do you know what I mean? You'll find a position for him, even if his legs do go a little bit. He's just that talented. His passing range, mate. Do you know what I mean? Set pieces.
Reportedly has a £57 million release clause for European clubs. That means he can't throw him and say go to Man City. Should the likes of Real Madrid be all over that? Is that a bargain?
I would. If I'm Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, any club, maybe not PSG, that they've got a very good midfield. But if I'm Manchester United, I'm saying not a chance. 60 million, 70 million, I'll say no. I feel like he's that good to what Manchester United have done in the last season we just had. And going forward, who are you going to buy to replace him?
Yeah. Well, my view earlier on was get the 57, put 43 to it, and go out and get Elliot Anderson. And then you're starting again because he's a young kid.
Of course, yeah. But
Can't get over your tan, Mick. I need my sunglasses on, mate. You're glowing. Where were you? Mallorca, did you say?
I was in Mallorca, yeah.
Yeah, how was it?
It was absolutely fantastic. Red hot every single day. Complete switch off. Just chilled. And I can sunbathe, let me tell you. Oh, mate. As soon as that breakfast down, I'm up, suntan cream's on. Then that's
oil. It's got to be oil, hasn't it?
Factor 50.
Oh, wow.
But it's an oil. Factor 50, and I'm there till the sun goes down.
Love it. Like a little holiday drink.
Don't drink?
Oh, well, fair enough. Fair enough.
That's only a new thing.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah. That's why you're looking so trim, mate. Fantastic stuff. On talkSPORT 2, by the way, from 3 o'clock, there will be live commentary of Exeter Chiefs against the Saracens and updates on Bath against Leicester Tigers on the final day of the Gallagher Premiership. Previewing all the action for us now and the permutations is talkSPORT's Alfie Reynolds.
Yeah, afternoon, Ollie, Micky. Final round of the regular season in the Gallagher Prem, as you say. So by this evening, we'll know which 4 teams will compete in the playoffs and who gets an all-important home semi-final. At the moment, Northampton are guaranteed to finish top, so they have one of the home semi-finals. Everything below them, though, is up for grabs. We'll keep you across it. I'm here at the Rec, where Bath host Leicester. The winner of this game will get second, and the other home semi-final, the loser, will come third or fourth, depending on what happens in Devon between Exeter and Saracens. Andrew McKenna and Topsy Ojo will bring you commentary of that on talkSPORT 2. A win or a draw for Exeter and they secure top 4. Saracens need to win to keep their season alive. We're going to be on air from 2:45 with all the build-up. I'll keep you across events here between Bath and Leicester. Our commentary at 3:15 kickoff is Exeter against Saracens.
Alfie, I'm going to put you on the spot, mate. How do you see it all playing out on this final day?
Well, I'm probably going to go safe, Ollie, in all honesty. By the way, actually, you've just been speaking about getting a tan there, Micky. It is absolutely bucketing down at the Rec. There is no one getting a tan here today. It is miserable conditions. I think that maybe is going to play into the home team's hands a little bit, so I think Bath will probably get the job done here, get second and get a home semi-final. And then Exeter Sarries, our commentary game on talkSPORT 2, is really hard to call. Exeter, I think, have had a superb season. I'm edging towards them, but Sarries, they looked out of it 4 or 5 rounds ago, and they have just kept on winning. They have dragged themselves back into contention. No one really a month or so ago would have thought they would be in the position now to get top 4. I'm going to go with Exeter winning there as well, though. So I think Bath, Leicester, Exeter are going to complete the playoffs.
Alfie, you put your neck on the line. Thank you very much indeed, mate. Enjoy the rain down there at Bath. Yeah, we'll keep across that throughout the afternoon. Micky, a great story, by the way. We're building up, by the way, to the Coolmore Coronation Cup back at Epsom. We'll bring you that race in just a moment. But before that, I just want to ask about Tony Mowbray, because he's return to Blackburn Rovers.
Brilliant.
Fantastic news. They've signed the 62-year-old on a long-term contract, which is brilliant to see, isn't it?
Incredible. Yeah, really pleased. I think football's a better place with Tony Mowbray back involved. We all know why he had to leave first time around because of his health issues, etc. and everything. But it's brilliant to see him back. And it's a club that I think it just suits him. One of my old clubs, and I've spoke to Tony on a couple of occasions. I've interviewed him, and he's just a proper chilled out fella. But look, he's got his hands tied there a little bit. It's going to be a tough job at Blackburn.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, obviously at the end of last season, they managed to stay up. They had Michael O'Neill in, whilst he was also the Northern Ireland manager. Is there a world, though, that where, like you say, he does have his hands tied around behind his back, but we know he's a top operator, Tony Mowbray.
Yeah.
Is the future looking bright for Blackburn with him in charge?
Yeah, well, it is. He's obviously been in the club before, so he knows how it's run. He might have to look at loanees, academy players, which have been given an opportunity at that club, certainly over the last decade as well. But I think they got themselves to a point where when you're starting to lose your best players because they're going elsewhere, they can't keep hold of these players. I think maybe a little bit of stability at that club's needed. Just got to try and get themselves back up into that top half of the Championship next. That's the next move for them. Forget about playoffs and getting promoted and stuff. Just get the club on the right path again.
Yeah, another manager I wanted to ask you about was Martin O'Neill, because he's carrying on as the Celtic manager, age 74, by the way, won them the title on the final day. And I think it does open a conversation, doesn't it? Because, there's a few of those managers out there that I think sometimes are written off. They're looked at as the old guard.
Yeah.
Is Martin O'Neill proof, really, that actually you shouldn't underestimate these guys?
Yeah, it's like you're called a dinosaur, aren't you, if you get to a certain age. But 1 minute, Martin's probably sat in this seat that I'm sat in right now in the talkSPORT studios. And the next minute, he's back at Celtic. But I think one of the mistakes Celtic made last season was when he actually left first time around, when he got themselves in a brilliant position. And then they had to ask him to go back again after, 3 or 4 games. But he'd done a brilliant job. The thing with Martin is because of the experience that he's got, and he was my manager at Celtic when I was there as well. I mean, he's an incredible guy, and he was fantastic in training and in the dressing room. He's got people around him. I'm not quite sure if Sean Maloney's still with him, but if Sean's there, I know Sean, he was a player there when I was there, and you've got to leave it to them. The coaching, just let the coaches do it and let Martin take over when it comes around to games. And if you do that, then Martin can do it for as many years as he wants to do it because he speaks really well. I think he's got the respect of every player in that dressing room. His team talks, which I've spoke about many, many times, were the best I'd ever heard. And if he can do that, and I'm sure he can replicate what he's done for many, many years as a coach, Celtic will be successful again.
You haven't reached dinosaur age yet, have you, Micky?
I'm not far away.
Are you sure?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm actually not.
That's why you're out there with the suntan on, isn't it?
Exactly.
Keep it off your back. Let's head back over to Epsom then. There's a race coming up at 20 to 1, the Coolmore, 20 to 3 rather, the Coolmore Coronation Cup. Let's rejoin your commentary team, the former jockey Lizzie Kelly, alongside talkSPORT's Rupert Bell.
And thank you for not calling me a dinosaur, Ollie. Much appreciated. But there we go. But this is a fascinating race. 6 runners. And tactically, this is going to be a real conundrum for the jockeys, because we saw what happened in the last race with Laura Pearson electing to come down the stand side, made up so much ground on the field because the others were going the longest way. What are we going to see here? In favoured wet conditions, it is the common practice to come over to the stand side. But we've got Caladagan, who is a seriously good racehorse, is the 11 to 10 favourite. Jan Bruegel beat Caladagan last year in this race 9 to 4. Lambourne, last year's Derby winner, 7 to 1. Bay City Roller, 11 to 1. Convergence, not without a chance, at 12 to 1. Perceived to be the outsider is Illinois, one of the 3 Aidan O'Brien runners, at 33 to 1. Fascinating Coronation Cup. This really, I can't work out how it's going to be run.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a fantastic race. I think that's the first thing to say. Caladagan is the best racehorse in the world. He is coming here off the back of 5 Group 1 victories in a row all over the planet. And it will be really, really fantastic if he were able to beat Jan Bruegel, who actually beat him in this race last year. So he's got a bit of a point to prove. Jan Bruegel, to me, though, he's a more dour stayer. And I don't think this is going to be Caladagan's day today. Just I think the ground has gone too soft. The emphasis on stamina has just become really, really important as a result of that softer ground. And so I do think that this is Jan Bruegel's to lose.
So, tactically, I'm sure Aidan O'Brien has briefed his jockeys. Lambourne last year, you got the feeling in the Derby that he stole a march. And maybe you know that the trip's not a problem. Could he be the one with Wayne Lorden or to set the pace or what? Maybe try and set it up for Jan Bruegel? I don't know. That's what I can't work out, because deserves to win in his own right.
Yeah, he does. And, you know, he's a horse who likes to make all. He did that with success when we last saw him win the Huxley Stakes at Chester. Chester has a really good record of producing Epsom winners, more so around the Derby and the Derby trial at Chester, but obviously that form will still tie over for other races such as a Coronation Cup. I think that this could very much suit him, but you're always just a little bit vulnerable as a front runner to being tracked, which I can't see Ryan Moore being too far away from the front. We've seen front runner winners, you know, nearly every race so far this meeting. So, you know, I know that there are obviously not very many of them. There's only 6 of them. So, you know, no one will be too far away from the pace.
Yeah, Calandigan is a drifter in the market out to 6 to 5. Jan Bruegel 9 to 4. Money for Lambourne, as say 7 to 1. Bay City Roller's an interesting one. George Scott, Oisin Murphy on board. He's not riding in the Derby. He's had 3 winners here this week. But Bay City Roller, 2 good runs this season.
Yeah, it was 2 good runs this season. One of them was behind Lambourne, as we've already mentioned, at Chester. I just get the feeling that he's got a bit to find really on some of these others. I think you can say exactly the same thing about Convergent, who's got some interesting form and some nice form, and has won on soft ground before as well. So, and he also ran behind Lambourne at Chester in the Huxley Stakes as well. So we've sort of already seen a couple of these.
Yep, and I spoke to Carl Burr before racing, and he said, I'm trying to work out tactically how this race is going to be run. So he's not sure what to expect to try and give his horse the best chance. But I think even that last race will have changed the perception of what is the right thing to do here, because if one of them says, right, I'm going to come down the short way, then that might be game over.
I can't see it happening again. Can you?
What, they'll all stay far side?
No, I can't see someone deciding to stay far side. Not in this.
Oh, and why?
I don't know. It's sort of, the genie's out of the bottle, isn't it? Like, it only just worked, in my opinion. No, it only just worked, in my opinion.
8.5 lengths.
I don't think that you'll be able to do it again.
Right, but this is a different grade.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I'm trying to not be. I'm trying to be diplomatic. This is a sort of a more important race, and those gamble type tactics sort of only work at the lower levels.
Okay, well, this is going to be a fascinating race. They're loading them in for the Coolmore Coronation Cup, worth £1 million, £500,000 to the winner, £560,000, I should say, to the winner. So it's a valuable prize, a prestigious prize, this Coronation Cup. The 6 runners are set then over the Derby course, 1 mile and 4 is the trip. So what's going to happen here? It looks as if Illinois is being urged to try and set the pace along with Lambourne, because Ronan Whelan is really labouring to Illinois to get this horse to the front. And looking at in second spot, we see Bay City Roller, Oisin Murphy looking at the right to see that he's got Lambourne on that one's inside. Then it's Jan Bruegel on the outside as they take the right-hand turn uphill. Then it's Convergent, and Calandigan is the back marker, trying to probably almost repeat the tactics of Thundering On in the Oaks yesterday. So there's a line of 6, and it is Illinois who is the pacemaker, with Lambourne, the Derby winner last year, in second. Bay City Roller, then it is Convergent, then Jan Bruegel and Calandigan. So last year's first and second are fifth and sixth at the moment. But Illinois, you can see Ronan Whelan. It must be tough work in this rain-softened ground, Lizzie, to keep this horse out in front.
Absolutely. Bay City Roller just trying to find better ground, going further away from the rail. Lambourne's travelling really well. Convergent is travelling really well. Calandagan has been taken forward a little bit more. Illinois creating a little bit of traffic by going backwards.
Yeah, Illinois' race is run and is certainly not enjoying himself. So, but it's Lambourne who's now gone 2-3 lengths clear. Oisin Murphy looks over his right shoulder to see if he's got anything behind him, and in fact is now they're staying. It looks like as if they're going to stay on that far side as Lambourne repeating what he did last year, setting the pace and saying, catch me if you can. Then it's Bay City Roller, then Convergent. Calandagan's on the inside. Mikel Barcelona hasn't really pushed the button yet, just gets the whip ready perhaps to do exactly that. But Lambourne, as they come down and swing round Tattenham Corner, has at 1 length advantage. Bay City Roller getting closer. Then it's 2.5 lengths back to Calandagan. Then Convergent and Jan Bruegel. At the moment it's Lambourne. Bay City Roller now goes on and is just up. And it looks now as if we have got a bit of a split going on with Oisin Murphy coming down the middle of the course. Lambourne's on the far side. Then it's Calandagan and Jan Bruegel, and Convergent is beaten. But at the moment Lambourne, trying to follow up his win last year in the Derby, is out in front. Jan Bruegel looks to be the danger. Calandagan's race is run on this near side. Middle of the track, we've got Bay City Roller. Has Oisin Murphy got it? Bay City Roller looks like he's gone into the lead now. Coming inside the final furlong, Bay City Roller coming down the middle of the track, and again in splendid isolation, easy as you like, 4, 5, 6 lengths clear. Bay City Roller. Oisin Murphy is having a wonderful week here, and he's outfought them out in this race so easily to win by maybe 8 lengths from Jan Bruegel, and a really disappointing favourite there, Calandagan, who clearly hated the conditions.
Yes, and I thought that was just, you could tell how soft the ground has got in that race, couldn't you? They were struggling. They couldn't really travel all that well in it, but my goodness, Bay City Roller, he just kept rolling, didn't he? I thought that was a really impressive performance. Right down the centre of the track, like you said. Jan Bruegel second, Lambourne third. But they couldn't really land a blow. I thought that was a really impressive performance from a horse who hasn't shown us this sort of level before. I thought he's really improved. He was the lowest rated horse in the race, apart from Illinois, so he's the 5th rated horse in the race. But yeah, wow, that was a big improvement.
Yep. So coming down the middle of the course, winning at 17-2, and clever riding from Oisin Murphy, looking for the best and sort of unused ground almost, and fresh ground, and that played to dividends for Oisin Murphy. So he's sitting out in the Derby. I wonder if 1 or 2 trainers might think, I wish we'd got him. But Oisin Murphy winning this on Bay City Roller. Big moment for trainer George Scott as well to win this Coronation Cup. Brilliant tactical race, but the conditions making it very difficult. Derby's going to be a conundrum.
And it's coming up live from 4 o'clock. Rupert Bell, thank you very much indeed. I'd never call you a dinosaur, still commentating, so brilliantly aged 104. Remember, by the way, Racing TV is the home of live British and Irish horse racing, showing every race from 61 race courses. talkSPORT listeners can try the channel out for free with a 1-month trial. Simply head to racingtv.com/free trial now. Coming up next here on the Saturday session, we'll talk about the bonkers new pre-match ceremonies we can expect to see at the World Cup this summer. Stay with us.
to be considered a big club, like the likes of Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea?
What, Man City's bigger than Arsenal?
Well, in Europe they are. They've won the competition.
Cool, they won the... But what are we saying? Are we talking about trophies or are we talking about...
I'm talking about dining
club?
at the top table with all the big heads that have won it. Do you think you need...
What, so we're only basing this on Europe? So if you win the European Cup, that means you're a big club?
In Europe.
Well, are we not going off all the trophies that we've won?
We haven't won that many.
We've won Arsenal? Are you joking?
Well, okay, take FA Cups out of it.
No, forget FA Cups. Leagues.
You can include it.
We've won more Premier Leagues than Liverpool.
I know, but I'm just saying, my question is, do you think you need to win Europe's biggest competition to be considered a big club?
No, because I think we are one of the biggest clubs in the world anyway. And that'll just be a cherry on top.
We are. I don't think you're in the top 10.
You idiots. Are you talking about your local pub or are you talking about the world?
You're certainly not in the top 5.
In the world?
Yeah.
No, look.
Okay, hold on. I'll ask you a question.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
There you go.
Top 5
There you go.
Real Madrid, Barca, Bayern,
Man United.
Good afternoon. This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside the former England and Sunderland fullback, Micky Gray. Just to keep you across the cricket, there's currently a rain delay at Lords. It's day 3 of the first test between England and New Zealand. England in a very strong position, though. New Zealand are 55 for 5. They still need 199 runs to win with just 5 wickets remaining. So once they get back underway, Sam Ellard will bring us some more updates from Lords. Micky, I want to talk about something we're going to see at the World Cup. FIFA have unveiled a new look pre-match ceremony. It's going to take place before every single game at this summer's World Cup. The single player walkouts that you might remember from the Club World Cup, they're not going to be happening. But what is going to happen, rather than the traditional, you have the 11s lining up and you sing the anthems, all players, and when I say all players, I mean the entire squad, are going to stand around the centre circle for the line-up reads and the national anthems after walking out onto the pitch. There's also going to be visual elements, these huge flags spread out across both sides of the field. There's going to be a big light show. There'll be a few pyrotechnics and everything like that. I just want to read you what FIFA have said about this before I ask your opinion. Yeah. They say every player selected in the matchday squad will step into the spotlight together around the centre circle banner for the national anthems, ensuring that every individual, not just the starting 11, experiences that symbolic moment of pride and emotion when representing their country on football's greatest stage. What do you think?
Bizarre. Hate it. Hate the thought of it. As an ex-player, if I wasn't in the starting 11, would I like to do it? Absolutely not. I just think it's for the two teams. And what was wrong with walking out, side by side, then shaking hands and getting on with the game? It's just the Americans wanting to try, well, not just the Americans, but, it's them wanting to do something different for a World Cup. I don't mind the flags on either side. We've seen that before. Looks great, obviously, visually, if you hit the ground itself or if you're watching on TV. It looks spectacular, but I'm sure if you ask the players who were not in the starting 11 if they wanted to do that,
it's got a sting, hasn't it?
Yeah, every single one of them will be like, what do I want to do that for?
Do you know what? Especially if you are a member of that squad, like you've just said there, where you're right on the fringe and you might have been selected for that starting 11. Like, for instance, for England, Marcus Rashford or Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
And you have to go and stand out there. You have to sing the anthem too. But you're trotting back to the bench after that.
Yeah.
I just think that's ridiculous. They haven't... And do you know what's so silly about it, Micky, is they're sitting there going, oh, they've got to experience that symbolic moment and be all emotional and proud. They're not going to be feeling that.
No, you're not.
They're not.
And the thing is, and this is from a player's mind. If you're not in the starting 11, you see the players going out. Your initial move is obviously to go and sit in a technical area and wait for your turn if you're coming on the pitch or not. That's inside you, you're saying to yourself, I want to be out there. I want to be in that 11. I want to be standing there listening to the national anthem. But I want to earn that right. It's like every single player is going to get that right to walk around the centre circle. And it just takes away that little bit of that hunger, if you like, from the players who are not in the starting 11. it's just another delay tactic for me. I mean, we've talked about these half times that could be going on for 20, 25 minutes. As a player in the dressing room at half time, you can't wait to get out. Sometimes you don't want the half time whistle to come if you're winning 2 or 3-0. So for them to do that, I don't know. I think it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. I wouldn't be one of those players, if I'm not in the starting 11, to be around that centre.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the halftime show for the final. It's Madonna, Shakira, and BTS are going to be playing that show. And now FIFA has said there'll be a strict runtime of 11 minutes. But the halftime show at the Club World Cup, which I believe was Coldplay, wasn't it? That lasted 25 minutes. So I don't think they're going to stick to that time. Now, I know obviously you're going to be biased here as a massive BTS fan. but honestly, you've got to think about the old hamstrings, haven't you, as well? If you're sitting there for 25 minutes.
That's it. I mean, I think it was Benty, I think, might have mentioned it as well. You know, you're now talking about having, you know, the spin bikes that you have just to keep your legs warm and everything at half time.
But just so Madonna can strut about the stage.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, you haven't bought a ticket to a concert. You've bought a ticket to the World Cup final, and you've paid a lot for it, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of moving in the direction of NFL, isn't it? That's what it smells to me like. 11 minutes, I don't think that's doable. It can't be. It has to be more than 11 minutes. I mean,
why? Because Madonna's got to get all her hits out.
Well, they're setting up stages. I think that'll take 5 to 10 minutes, or maybe even more than that. And then, you know, she's obviously got to do her little part, a cameo, you know, however many songs she's going to be singing. Then Shakira was the other one, I think you mentioned there as well. And then the other one was
BTS.
BTS,
but you're a big fan.
BTS. But yeah, I mean, if they can do that in 11 minutes, I mean, it's not really a show at halftime anyway, is it? But yeah, look, it's got to be 20, 25 minutes. Surely has to be. And as a player, would I be wanting to sit around, or would I be wanting to cycle a bike for 5 or 6 minutes before we came out for the second half? Absolutely not.
Can you imagine England a 1-0 up World Cup final?
Yeah.
And then we've got to watch Madonna for half an hour.
I don't mind watching Madonna.
You're a big fan, are you?
Well, I know them too. I don't know BTS. I've got a clue.
Fair enough. Listen up, by the way, the FIFA World Cup kicks off on Thursday. talkSPORT is sending you and a mate straight to New York to see England live with Adidas, the tournament's official match ball supplier. We're talking a trip to watch England face Panama. Return flights, hotel, match tickets, spending money, all taken care of. Plus, Adidas is throwing in the official Trionda match ball and a fresh pair of boots. If you're ready to get that winning feeling, here's how to enter for your chance to win. Head to talksportwin.com or text WIN to 83338. Text and online entries cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or you can call 0343 418 7260. 0343 418 7260. Entries must be in by 4 o'clock on June the 12th. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings, so keep it on. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a talkSPORT promotion, full T's and C's at talksportwin.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now.
I remember going back a couple of years when he was linked with a move to Real Madrid, and Bournemouth fell off a cliff after that because he seemed to be sort of wavered by what happened with the attention that came his way. When the big boys came calling. So he's got to almost mature himself. Next couple of years down the line, maybe he will be able to handle it a little bit better this time around. But if Liverpool had any reservations, I would imagine that that would be one of them. Bournemouth finished 6th last season, 1 position and 3 points behind Liverpool in the league. They qualified for next season's Europa League. What represents success for Andoni Iraola this time around, Crook?
It's a brilliant question. Winning the title, I guess, would be the aspiration, because Arne Slot achieved that in his first season. Jurgen Klopp won it as well. So I think that there'll be the high standards that he'll be asked to try and achieve. Obviously, the bare minimum is Champions League football. And in fairness, Arne Slot did achieve that, but they can't afford to lose the number of games that they did.
Monaco, Singapore, Las Vegas. What do they all have in common? Well, they're all F1 street circuits. 20 years ago, the sports only visited 3 a year. From 2026, there'll be 10, despite the actual racing often being worse. So why? Why are there so many street circuits? Cars racing past the Casino Monte Carlo is one of the iconic images in all of sport. But in the last few years, it's been joined in the Street Circuit Club by the dazzling Grand Prix on the Las Vegas Strip, in Miami, Azerbaijan and others. And there's no sign of the trend slowing down. The streets of Madrid have also gotten involved, and there are conversations about Grand Prix in the capitals of Thailand and Rwanda. But fitting them in means we said goodbye to classic circuits like Hockenheim and Imola, angering fans who are still packing out the European tracks like Spa, the Hungaroring and Monza. And these generally produce more wheel-to-wheel action than street circuits too. At Silverstone in 2025, there were a total of 26 on-track overtakes. At Monaco, 4. I'm an F1 enthusiast. Even I struggle with that. But it appears to be a good step. In 2025, there was a record 2.3 million strong viewership for the Monaco Grand Prix in the US alone. Meanwhile, for the British Grand Prix several weeks later, 1.5 million tuned in. So why are we seeing this drive towards street circuits? Well, no prizes for guessing. Money. Formula One demands a fee of between $20 and $60 million for the rights to even hold an event. In total, including sponsorships, it's believed officials in Saudi Arabia pay almost $100 million for their race. The huge fees are possible because of the street track's city centre locations, as people staying at hotels at inflated prices and tourist sites brimming with visitors mean the cities rake the cash back in when the race comes to town. So it makes financial sense for Formula One and the cities, but will it cost the sport in the long run if F1 races are too boring? After all, nothing beats the roar of an F1 car as it flies through the forests of Europe, or mechanics watching a storm coming across the humid Asian countryside. Take that away and, well, you may as well just watch American IndyCar.
Pair of games in March. Hardly the ideal preparation for the World Cup.
Once you arrive in June in the US, you don't think anymore what you did in March.
They are a very, very good team, and go out and perform like that with that little bit of arrogance about.
You know, you want to take a key interest on who he's giving the minutes to, who's being protected.
And Kane lashes it into the roof of the net.
The fact that there's going to be 3 strikers there tells me now that you're not going to have that sort of false 9.
Bundled over the line for 3. It's Olly Watkins again.
I think we're all completely different, and I know what I bring to the team.
I don't know how Thomas Tuchel's team's going to set up in a tournament.
For us, it's about being together for this week and getting back going, reconnecting, and being in the best possible shape when we arrive in Kansas.
I think the biggest issue we've got is the weather and the conditions.
The trust goes into this group. Yeah, we have to prove ourselves, but that was always the case.
We're nearly there. Big World Cup warm-up game coming up tonight on talkSPORT. Kick-off at 9 o'clock. England against New Zealand. We will be bringing you live commentary of that one. This is the Saturday session here with me, Olly, Clink, alongside the former England fullback, Micky Gray. I've been reliably informed, Micky, that it is hot in Tampa where they're going to be playing. 97 Fahrenheit, which is 33 degrees. Firstly, pray for Faker Others, talkSPORT's Faker Others, who's going to be pitch side today. But Jim Proudfoot, our commentator, of course, I'm reliably informed, Jim, who joins us now, that you'll be in the aircon. Lucky you.
I'm great. Don't worry about me. I'll be golden, thank you. I'll be as golden as one of Micky's fake tans. I will be that good.
Oh, it's great to hear.
Yeah, so we turned up yesterday. We turned up at the stadium yesterday, and it was, oh man, this is sweltering. This was about 12 o'clock now. Here, it's usually about 3, 4 o'clock. That's the real heat of the day. And as you say, they're expecting 97. And Adrian went wide as a sheet, which was a miracle in itself, bearing in mind the weather. And he suddenly realised that we actually did have an air-conditioned booth to be able to work from. So, yeah, we will be good. Faye, on the other hand, will be being looked after by us all because she's got the tough shift today out in what will be stifling conditions. Obviously, what's more important, stifling conditions for the players. And that's why we're out in Florida, because Thomas Tuchel wanted this warm weather experience. He wanted the conditions to be pretty much as brutal as they could possibly be over the course of the tournament, and I think he's going to get that today. He's going to get his wish because this, as you can see, not a cloud in the sky, and it's very hot already. So at a 4 o'clock kickoff our time, which is 9 o'clock back home, it is going to be very intense indeed.
Just before we get on to the game itself, Jim, I want to ask you about the pitch. There's been a lot of talk about it. It doesn't look great. There's a few concerns about the potential safety of the players. What's your reading of it?
Yeah, it's not great. I don't think any of it has been exaggerated. So we got to have a look at it firsthand, and it sort of bent over the hoardings 3, 4 feet away from the way that it has been put in. It's been described as a plug-and-play pitch. If you imagine a series of oversized carpet tiles have been laid down, it's not dissimilar to that. And the problem is the joins between the pair of them, which are easily visible from close-up, but even from the sort of the more lofty vantage points, it's very obvious exactly where the strips are. Now, the problem that they're going to have, obviously, is that it's going to be very, very slow. For it to work at all, it needs to be really heavily watered, even to the extent that I think that the two teams are probably going to be calling for the pitch to be watered during the drinks break, halfway through each half, just to try and get it to bed in as much as possible. It's not good at all. We spoke to kind of some of the New Zealand guys, so England haven't trained on it. New Zealand trained on it yesterday. We spoke to Matt Garbutt, the Peterborough player who's in the New Zealand squad and who we expect to be in their lineup today, and he was quite frank about it. He said it's not good at all, and there is clearly the potential risk for injury, and that is the one thing that both of these sides need to get through today, is without any injury at all. So it's really not good.
Jim, it's Micky. Hi, mate. You're looking fantastic over there. I wish I was with you. But, Jim, if I can touch on the football side of things, what are you expecting from Thomas Tuchel's 2 45-minute 11s? Are we going to get kind of a picture of what to expect in that first game in the World Cup?
I don't know from this one. I've not got a clue how he's going to mix and match, and obviously this is a mix and match exercise. He's been very frank about that. He's going to be making 11 changes at half-time. Well, that's what we're expecting it to be. Certainly in terms of the outfield players, he's going to be rotating. That rotation isn't particularly obvious in some areas. I mean, you have a look on the right wing, for instance, where the two right wingers in the squad, Madueke and Saka, aren't available because none of the Arsenal players are involved in this game. So who's going to be playing there? Are we going to see Rodgers and maybe Jed Spence for 45 minutes? So I don't know whether he will look at it and say, the first 45 I'm going to be playing what is ostensibly my first team, and then the second 45 it's the possibles as opposed to the probables, or whether it will be a more genuine mix and match. I don't know. My guess is that we're not going to be able to read anything into this. Costa Rica on Wednesday is going to be a much clearer indication, I think, of what his probable plans are. We think we know. And I think that every England fan would probably come up with 9 of the outfield 11, but it's just the other couple that we're not quite sure about yet.
Which of those positions then that you mentioned there, the other two, are you kind of questioning at the moment, Jim? And how do you think Tuchel will select his side?
The principal one, Ollie, is the number 10 position. And my guess is that he will go with Morgan Rogers ahead of Jude Bellingham. But I might be wrong. That's just my reading of the situation, that he is a big admirer of Rogers. Clearly, there are implications for leaving Jude Bellingham out, and that is going to make huge headlines if he does that. So that goes without saying. So that is something that he will probably still be mulling over. The right-back position, you would imagine, will be nailed down by Reece James. Who's going to be playing alongside him? Will it be Konsa? Will it be Stones? That one's perhaps a little bit more unsure. And on the left wing, is it going to be Rashford or Gordon? I think Rashford is ahead in that particular race at the moment after the fantastic end to the season that he had with Barcelona. Even when he wasn't starting games, he was still impacting them and won the league title. So my guess is he goes for Rashford ahead of Gordon. But other than that, I think everything pretty much picks itself at the moment. But the number 10 position is the one that is going to be talked about a lot over the next 10 days, and I sense throughout the tournament as well.
There was a sharp intake of breath from Micky Gray when you said that you thought Rodgers might start. Do you think that's the right call, Micky?
Well, look, I think it's tit for tat for me, I have to say, because Morgan Rogers has had an incredible season with Aston Villa, and we've heard speculation about Jude Bellingham. He's not had the season that we've seen in previous seasons for Real Madrid, so it wouldn't surprise me. And I think what Jim said there about, Thomas Tuchel absolutely loves Morgan Rogers. The other one he mentioned was Konsa or Stones, which was speculation. I didn't know which one it was going to be. But I think John Stones over these next 2 games needs game time. He's played in tournaments before where he hasn't had game time. But I do think it's important, and I don't know if Jim agrees with that he gets game time building up to this first game in the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely, Mick. I totally agree with you. I think that John Stones' experience, he started England's last 26 games at major tournaments, so you can't buy that experience. That is just extraordinary. But when he's played so few minutes in 2026 so far, that has to be a worry. Injury willing, he's going to get 45 minutes today, and we'll see what he gets against Costa Rica on Wednesday. But I think that my guess is that Thomas Tuchel will do everything he can to give John as much opportunity to prove that he is fit and he is ready to go for the opening game against Croatia. Listen, if he's not and Ezri Konsa comes in, he is a more than able deputy with plenty of tournament experience himself. And as an England fan, I wouldn't be at all fazed by the fact it was Konsa playing at centre-half. But there's something about John Stones, but he's got to prove that he's fit. He has done that before. There have been 2 previous tournaments that he's played, Mick, you've alluded to it there, that he'd hardly seen the light of day for months going into the tournament, and he performed brilliantly. We need this to be the same, really.
Jim, thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the game tonight. England against New Zealand is live here on talkSPORT from 9 o'clock. They will be getting underway, and we'll see how Tuchel lines up his teams, or his teams, I should say, really, over those 45 minutes. Anyway, it's time to head back to Epsom. The derby is coming up from 4 o'clock. Before that, we have the Betfred Dash Handicap Stakes. And as we bring in the former jockey Lizzie Kelly alongside talkSPORT's Rupert Bell, Rupert, you also act as our royal correspondent, and I believe that the King has arrived.
Yes, the King is having a busy day because he's had to leave a family wedding because his great-nephew Peter Phillips got married earlier today in Gloucestershire. He was at the wedding ceremony, and he's obviously hot-footed it with the Queen, and they have arrived. And actually this is an important moment for the race because, bearing in mind, the late Queen, this was a regular date in her diary. She never liked to miss the Derby because obviously she was always regarded as a huge race fan and involved in the sport. But the King, obviously it's Royal Ascot, which he goes to, but this is obviously seen as a bit of a bonus in a way, him coming and obviously interrupting a big family day where the wedding that's been going on. So from a racing point of view and from the Derby's point of view, it does create a little bit more extra interest in it to see him here because, and I can tell you that as a result, there's sort of more photographers are here, so there's more publicity for the race, which the Derby has been sort of crying out for. So it's an added dimension to the significance of this race. But this race, Ollie, will test anybody. It's 20 runners dashing down the hill. Well, they won't be going as quick as normal because it's a bit rain-softened ground. So Lizzie's going to be pointing furiously at my race card just in case anything is coming out of the pack in the final stages. But this is a traditional race because it's all downhill and handbrake off right from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a thriller. It always is. Quite like Lexington Bliss in this, who I thought ran a really, really good race last time out when he won. And it's really hard at this sort of, with these sprints, to know where pace is going to come from and how the race will develop. But we think Democracy Dilemma and Another Bar, who are in stalls next to each other, will provide a decent bit of pace. And obviously the fact that they're next to each other as well, you know, they'll tow each other along. So, yep, it'll be.
And the way the races have run, we saw at Oisin Murphy, who came down the middle of the track looking for the best ground. What could happen here? Could some go to the stand side, some on the far side? I mean, this is why, I guess, again, it's going to be a tactical race with people trying to find where that pace is to be towed into the race if they need to come from off the pace.
Yeah, I think everyone will want to be coming up the stands rail, if I'm honest. I think, you know, if you're up on the stands rail, I think that's going to be a benefit because it drains just a little bit quicker than, you know, being down the camber. Well,
5-1 favourite is Kingswoman, but there is money for King of Light, who's been backed into 7-1. They are loading up. Rogan Force has gone in. Kieran Schumacher, of course, has had a winner today, and he's gone forward. And Kingswoman will be coming out of stall 17, which is on this stand side. So, and is a horse that she likes to be up with the pace as well. And of course, William Haggis won the Derby 30 years ago, and he's got a runner in the big one at 4 o'clock in Maltese Cross, who's not without a chance of giving him a second Derby success. But in the short term, in the Cheveley Park colours, the red and white, Kingswoman is the favourite here. So, and you can see why, because a good second last time out.
Yeah, and has been unbelievably consistent the previous year. Yeah, I mean, amazing. She's been like a fantastically consistent individual, and I can imagine that she will, you know, travel really well today. She's obviously in a nice high stall as well.
Yep, so they're getting them in. These 20 runners, primed sprinters. Star Chorus getting a little bit fractious on this near side, coming out of stall 1 with Rob Hornby on board, who'll be riding one of the outsiders in the Derby in just under an hour's time. Coming forward is Cindy Luhu. Tony Carroll's always respected in these type of races, very good with these sprint handicappers, as is Robert Cowley's got plenty of entries here, Democracy Dilemma and Lexington Blitz, and also Dionysos is another of his runners. I think they're nearly all set for the dash. 5 furlongs straight down the hill with a wind behind them. I think maybe just, no, in fact, a couple more to go through. One of those is Lexington Blitz just coming forward and coming into stall 10. And the well-backed King of Light may just be the last one coming forward. The mount of Marco Gianni. And also Democracy Dilemma. King of Light just been given a shunt by the stalls handlers to get in the stalls. Star Chorus being restrained by a stall handler, getting a little bit worked up in the stalls. That's it, they're off and running. And let's see who's trying to make an early going. Arklow Lad on the far side. Also right up there is Brazen Bolt is trying to get in there. Another one going along nicely is Lexington Blitz, Rhythm and Hooves, and also Democracy Dilemma likes to set a song pace, and Lexington Blitz coming down the middle of the track just may have it. Also Rhythm and Hooves is right up there. Democracy Dilemma on this near side. Eclairage from Ireland is also in a good position, coming under a bit of pressure. King of Light trying to pick it up, but still it's out in front. Lexington Blitz has it on the far side. Democracy Dilemma picking up his bets and is starting to come forward. King of Light, but Lexington Blitz just may have the advantage, has blitzed them, coming up on the near side, storming through. His Arklow Lad is trying to pick up and challenging all the time. Arklow Lad coming up and maybe pointing Lexington Blitz, and Arklow Lad has found a way to get home and win from Vintage Clarets, who's another one who was running on into second. picking off. Lexington Blitz looked to have the race, but actually just ran out of puff in the last half furlongs.
Yeah, this horse was always up there, managed to come out of those stalls nice and quick, had the benefit of being up on this stand side rail. I thought that was, you know, a fantastic ride from Harry Davies. He's always been up there, but he just really had to work really hard to get this horse to just find that extra bit more, but he's done it, and he's done it nicely.
Yeah, Arklow lad, Michael Appleby, experienced again, a trainer who's very good with these sprint handicappers. Harry Davis, the jockey on board. Choose and Democracy Dilemma was out there, but Vintage Clarets again coming up this stand side, running on to second. I think Lexington Blitz, I think, was in third there, and maybe Stormy Impact, I think, may have got fourth in that race. But Arklow lad, not unfancied, at 7-1 has won the dash. Now it's next the dub.
And we can't wait for it. Rupert, thank you very much indeed. Remember, Racing TV is the home of live British and Irish horse racing, showing every race from 61 racecourses. talkSPORT listeners can try the channel out for free with a 1-month trial. Simply head to racingtv.com/free trial now.
When you get these Arsenal fans ranting and raving and saying some of the things that they do, and then you get this nitwit over here popping up with his little brand of observation in social media.
What, Piers?
Yeah.
Little brand of 9 million followers.
Whatever, how many followers you've got, Piers.
Well, a lot more than you, Sancho.
Fantastic, but I don't judge my work by that.
It's not a little brand.
But I don't judge myself by those numbers.
This is a little brand. My YouTube channel is 4.5 million subscribers.
I'm delighted.
I have 9 million followers on X. So when I say something to 9 million
I'm delighted.
people, I'm saying it to a lot more millions than you.
I'm delighted.
Yeah, but it's not a little brand. I'm not a little nitwit.
No, I'm delighted.
You may not like what I say.
I'm delighted.
But the platform I have is infinitesimally bigger than yours.
I'm delighted. You've pivoted into the digital world and hung on by your fingertips, right? But the bottom line is I'm looking at the content. I'm looking at the content, and you're asking me why.
Yes.
People are reacting negatively to what's being said. So I floated the idea without a great deal of commitment to it that silly comments that are antagonistic made by nitwits like him with big audiences.
What silly
Is
comment?
that better?
Well, give me a silly
Well,
comment.
I don't study your feed, but every now and again you
give me one example.
You pop up with observations
give
about
me one
Arsenal
that's silly.
inflammatory. I don't know. I can look for it in a second.
Exactly. You can't think of one. You just said it.
Every now and again.
You just literally said that. And you can't tell me a single thing I've said
every now and
which
again,
is silly.
I see you make an observation.
Give me one.
Well, I'll find one in a second.
You can't, can you?
Because I don't
You've
write them
literally
down.
just made that up.
Because I don't write them down.
You've made that up.
Right.
This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm a Newcastle fan. They've stuck me with Sunderland legend Micky Gray. I will be going to HR about it. We're going to chat about those two teams a bit later on and talk about who they should be signing this summer. I might even ask you, Micky, where's the most attractive destination at the moment? Oof. So have a think about that. Have a good think about that, Micky.
Yeah.
Have a good think about that and then come to the correct answer, which I'll be hoping to hear a bit later on. Let's chat a bit of transfers though, and I want to start with Manchester City. You are our Manchester football correspondent as well. Elliot Anderson, they've had an opening offer. Manchester City rejected for that. We are expecting a second bid, and Forest believe Anderson is worth as much as the 105 million that Arsenal paid West Ham for Declan Rice back in 2023. Now, obviously, this is a difficult one for me to talk about as a Newcastle fan. It is horrible because they sold Elliot Anderson for 35 million to Forest, but alongside that, they also signed Odysseus Vlachodimos for 20 million. So they essentially lost Elliot Anderson for 15 million, and now we're talking about a player that could go for that much money. Do you think he's worth that much money?
I do. Yeah, saw him a lot live last season. Really impressive player, incredible season. Grown in stature, no question of that. And this was all down to PSR, wasn't it, with Newcastle having to, homegrown players leaving the club, which just completely, totally don't agree with. But I think there's certain players that can go into clubs and just fit in seamlessly. It's me to say, yeah. And I think Elliot Anderson's one of those players. I mean, there was talk and still is about Manchester United as well, and I'm sure there'll be other takers for him because I think he's that good. He's just got a bit of everything, and I just really like him. It's not about just when he's on the ball, which he's obviously brilliant at. He's got an array of passes, but he's physical. His ball retention, winning the ball back as well. All his numbers, as we seem to talk about a lot these days, were very, very high. And what I would say about it is, what does that mean about Rodri?
Well, this is what I was going to ask you, because obviously Bernardo Silva's also left the club.
Yeah.
If you were going to pick a player that he might be replacing, would you have it as Rodri? Could it mean the end for him and he moves elsewhere?
Well, I think a fully fit Rodri is irreplaceable. There ain't many around Europe or even the world that replaces Rodri for what he brings, certainly to Manchester City.
Even post-injury? Because he was unplayable.
He's fantastic. Yeah. One of the best, if not the best, holder midfield player, if that's what you want to call him, I think I've ever seen in the Premier League. I think he's that good. Wow. And that's off watching him a lot. And not just watching him when he's on the ball, it's also, with your eyes when you're in a game, it's seeing what the things he does when he hasn't got the ball. Just a sensational player and obviously Ballon d'Or winner as well. But it's not to say that Elliot can't bring something to Manchester City. Look, there's players like Kovacic there as well who, got back in the City side at the end as well, who he's going to be coming up against. You mentioned Bernardo Silva leaving the club as well there. But I think if City want to move forward, they did this at the end of last season, or the beginning of last season, should I say, sorry, when the side looked as if it was aging a little bit. People like Kevin De Bruyne leaving. There were certain other players that left the club as well. They thought they had to go in a different direction. They did bring in younger players, the last two being Gay and Semenyo as well. And I think Elliot fits into that Man City side absolutely perfect. I think he's an outstanding player.
I just want to talk about the pull of Manchester City now, because Pep Guardiola has left the club. It's looking as if Enzo Maresca will be coming in to take that job. But you look at the fact that Arsenal have won the Premier League, and they were having this debate on talkSPORT Drive earlier this week, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. What do you feel is a more attractive destination now for a player? Is it Arsenal or is it Manchester City, given the change that's going on at Man City?
Yeah, but let's not forget Enzo Maresca's worked under Pep Guardiola and he's been at Manchester City before, so I don't think the change is going to be as drastic as what you saw, let's for instance say, when Manchester United lost Sir Alex Ferguson.
Do you not think it will?
I don't know. I think there's an unbelievable squad of players there. When you think about Sir Alex leaving Manchester United when he didn't really leave a good side. Let's be brutally honest with you. There were some good players, but there was some players that maybe were there a little bit too long. I think you look at that City squad, it's young. There's probably another 7 to 10 years left in that squad. Maybe there'll be a couple that leave. Rodri might be one of them. I don't know what his destination will be if it's not Real Madrid or somewhere like that, because that's how good he is still.
Can Elliot Anderson get to that level, do you think?
Well, he can. Yeah, there's no question he can do it. I think the big question you were asking me is, life after Pep Guardiola, what can Manchester City expect next season? No doubt in my mind, I still think they're one of the favourites to win the Premier League, along with Arsenal. Don't know what you're going to get from Liverpool and Manchester United, and maybe Chelsea. You have to bring it in that conversation, but I still think they're a little bit adrift. I have to be completely honest with you. But Elliot, if we're going back to Elliot and putting him in a top side, he just fits in. He's that good of a player, and I think I was more impressed seeing him in the flesh than I was when, you know, you're watching him on TV and stuff like that. I just think he's an incredible player, I really do.
Would you pay more than 105 million for him?
I think he's worth it. If that's the going market, if that's what you're paying for Declan Rice, look, he's going to play for England. I think we all agree on that. I think he play alongside Declan Rice and pick and choose who you think's the better player, who brings something different to the table. I think Elliot Anderson's passing abilities are better than Declan Rice's. Declan's ball winning retention is probably better. His energy levels are probably better than Elliot Anderson. So it's kind of like, you know, you're juggling it if you want to pick a better player out of the two. But what a talent.
I hate PSR.
I bet you do.
I absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
It's honestly so difficult to hear all this. But, you know, to be fair, delighted for Anderson.
Yeah.
And yeah, he deserves all the plaudits that he gets. And like you say, could play a big role at the World Cup. We'll chat about some more transfers in just a moment here on the Saturday session.
Absolute wet wipes. The lot of yous. Absolute wet wipes. Wow. Oh, he wore a PSG top. Oh, he jumped around. Do you know what? If it happened again tomorrow, I would do it again tomorrow. Wow. Up the Chelsea. Here we go. There she There she is. Look at that. Wow. Look at that bad boy.
He took it too far, Dino. He took it too far. He took it too far. Up the PSG. Up the PSG. Up the Champions League. Up the Chelsea. Oh, come there, you legend. We absolutely love you. Everyone loves you. Sports Bar loves you. The people love you. The Arsenal fans hate you. But who cares? Who cares? You've done it for everyone. Apart from that Chelsea lot. Apart from that Arsenal lot. Eh? Up the Champions League. And Arsenal absolutely bottled it. They bottled it. And I was so glad that he done what he done. And he took it to...
Yeah, nightmare what happened with Anderson, isn't it? It would be like Sunderland losing... Sorry, I don't know any of that.
Granit Xhaka, yeah.
No, a bit
signing
like...
of the season.
I was thinking Chris Rigg, actually.
Chris Rigg.
Well, he was a boyhood Newcastle fan, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's very much a Mackham now. I think we've seen from some of his social media posts. Out of interest, would you ever have played for Newcastle?
I got a chance.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, before mobile phones, I was playing regular for Sunderland at the time, and obviously I was doing quite well. But I think Newcastle were under Kenny Dalglish at the time and Terry McDermott. And I got a phone call at my mum's house from Terry McDermott. It was about a week or 2 weeks before we actually played a derby game. And Terry Mack said to me, so I actually had 2 chances to sign for Newcastle, but this is the second one. And Terry Mack rang me up at my mum's house and said, look, we're interested in signing you. Would you be brave enough to make the step or the change from Sunderland to Newcastle?
So why did you not go for it? Chance to join a massive club. I mean...
I think there was quite a few things. Obviously, I mean, my mates, where I'm from, my family was another thing.
Did that seriously massively come into it?
Yeah, I spoke to them. Yeah, my brother being like probably the biggest Sunderland fan, but my uncles and everything. It's just like generations of Sunderland fans. So I kind of like softly said, "Oh, what would you, if I signed for Newcastle, what would you think?" And I can't really obviously repeat what he said while I'm on air. And that pretty much made my mind up. I have to be honest with you.
Wow,
yeah, massively. Yeah.
How tempted were you, if you're being honest? Because at that time, let's be fair, under Kenny Dalglish, you just had the entertainers, everything like that.
Yeah.
It would have been an exciting time to join the club.
Yeah, well, I had to think about it because you say it's a short career and you've got to try and make the most of it. And at the time, Newcastle were fighting for Premier League titles. So it was I took the call. Whereas normally, if Sunderland had been in a situation like they are now, I probably wouldn't have even entertained the phone call. But that was how they did it in them days. They talk about, it's all about agents now. Look, if they get the chance to phone a player, then they would do it. And Terry Mack did that. I had the brief 2 or 3 minute conversation with it. It wasn't any longer than that. Telling me what the club were trying to achieve. They were moving forward. They were chasing Premier Leagues and stuff. Do I want to be a part of that? So I said, look, can you just leave it with me and I'll speak to you in a day's time or a couple of days' time? And that's when I, in the middle of that, made the conversations to friends, family, people that I thought, mattered and thought other of it. And what came off the back of that was, I think Peter Reid was the Sunderland manager at the time. It's his birthday on Saturday, by the way. Happy birthday, 70 years.
Wow.
He kind of collared me the next day or maybe 2 days after and said, I believe Newcastle are interested in you. And he just said, forget about that. He said, there's a new contract on the table for you. So it kind of worked in my favour. And I ended up signing a long contract at Sunderland, which is probably what I wanted anyway, because I knew where we were going. We were a few steps behind Newcastle at the time. So yeah, I thought about it, but it didn't last too long, I've got to be honest.
Wow, what could have been? Could have won the Premier League for us, Micky.
I don't think I'd have been the difference, put it that way.
Do you think that there's the same sentiment in football now? Because it's quite interesting to hear you say that it was to do with where you'd grown up and the fact that you were a Sunderland boy, everything like that. Do you think that still exists in football today? As much as it did then.
There's obviously a lot of foreign players have come to the Premier League now. It's not like when I was playing. Yes, there was obviously some superstars that were playing in the Premier League at the time. And that loyalty thing, if you like, when I look at foreign players, I think, will you actually come back to the club? Will you live in the area? There ain't many. I'm not saying all of them like that, but I think there's still certain things out there, like, for instance, you wouldn't get anybody from Manchester United signing for Liverpool and vice versa. Yeah. I know it's happened between Sunderland and Newcastle. I don't think Sunderland have actually signed anybody from Newcastle since Bobby Monk. I don't know. It's maybe it's that far. It's been that long. I just think there's things set in stone where you can't move from one club to another. And maybe the 2 northeast clubs, that's not Bar and Middlesbrough, by the way, but just, the 2 clubs, I don't think that'll happen as much as it maybe has done in the past.
Yeah, it adds an intense pressure, doesn't it? I remember Jack Colback joining.
Yeah.
He was a Newcastle fan. He joined from Sunderland.
That's
right. And it's interesting to see how the fans react to those situations. Did you say Peter Reid's birthday's next Saturday?
I think it's this Saturday. Or
it's today, is it?
Sorry, yeah. Is it today or might be next Saturday? I don't know.
Yeah, if it is next Saturday, I've got the same birthday as Peter Reid.
Oh, have you?
Another great bit of news. He's not invited to my party. No thanks, Peter. I hope he has a great day. Let's carry on chatting about transfers, though, and talk about Spurs. Obviously, very difficult season. They just managed to stay up, and it was all on a knife edge. But they confirmed the signing of Andy Robertson on a free yesterday. I think it's a really decent signing, that, because when you look at Tottenham's season, You know, I think they're signing a quality player. Of course they are in Andy Robertson, but it's the leadership, I think, that's going to be really important here.
Oh, massive. Hugely missed out on that last season. No question of it. There was talk about him going in the January window. He thought better of it, or they maybe couldn't get a deal sorted out in time for him to go in that January window. I wonder what it means for a doggy. I don't know if Tottenham supporters would be too worried about that. But there's no question Andy Robertson's a great signing, on and off the pitch. His leadership qualities, which I think you maybe look at that Tottenham squad, certainly lacking last season. The leaders weren't really doing the job they were supposed to do on and off the pitch. But if he's the first of, let's say, half a dozen to come for De Zerbi for Tottenham next season, then they're going to be in a much healthier place.
We can actually hear from Robertson now. He had this message for his new supporters.
Hi Tottenham fans, it's me, Andy Robertson here. As you can see, I'm not in Glasgow, I'm in America just now preparing for the World Cup. But I just wanted to send you a quick message to say I cannot wait to play for you guys, I cannot wait to meet you guys, I cannot wait to play in the stadium for the first time in front of you, and I'm already looking forward to next season. All the best and I'll see you soon.
We can also hear from his new manager, Roberto De Zerbi, who sat down with Tottenham's official media channels after his signing.
Tell me a little bit about Andy Robertson and what he'll bring to the club.
I'm excited because he's a Scottish player, first of all, and I love Scottish players. And then he brings experience, mentality, qualities, and is a big player for us.
Where does your love of Scottish players come from?
I don't know. I worked with Bill Gilmore in Brighton. I love their mentality, their passion in football.
Yeah, I love Scottish players. I love that. He would have had Billy Gilmore at Brighton, of course. So Roberto De Zerbi. When you look at some of the other signings that Tottenham are being linked with, they've had a bid rejected for the Brighton defender Jan-Paul van Hecke. There's also an ongoing situation with Marcos Senesi from Bournemouth. We're expecting, of course, Christian Romero probably to leave the club after that debacle at the end of last season, where it looked as if he wasn't going to be there for the final game of the season, where they needed to stay up as the club captain, which I thought was an absolute disgrace.
What, was he watching tennis or something?
He was watching his boyhood club.
Yes, he was. Yeah, sorry.
That was it. That just made no sense to me. But I think, he did go in the end. I think bolstering that back line, though, is going to be really important for Spurs. If they get these signings right, with no European football, where do you expect them to potentially finish next season?
Well, they'll certainly be challenged for the European spots. I don't think it'll be Champions League spots. I think you're looking at Tottenham maybe, I don't know, off the top of my head, I would say maybe 6th, 7th, 8th, those positions. New regime under De Zerbi. The Romero one's an interesting one for me because I just think it needs somebody to kind of grab a hold of him and, just say, look, be the player. Because I think there's a player in there. There's no question. I mean, he's an international. We know what he's achieved there. I think on his day, he's a very good player. But for some reason, when things aren't going his way and the red cards, I thought it was a mistake giving him the captain's armband. I really did. Because your leader needs to be on the pitch every single week, and he needs to either be leading by example or he needs to be leading by showing everybody else how good and what it means to him. It wouldn't surprise me if he's still in the Premier League next season.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure where, but it wouldn't surprise me because I think he's got so much ability. Am I right in saying I think Leo Messi said he's the best centre half in the world?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, for somebody to turn around and say that must mean that he's got something. But it's just it's managing him, and it needs somebody who can rely on him or get him to say, look, I'm coming and I want to be at this club. It looked in the end like he didn't want to be at Spurs. That was the signals I was getting from somebody like him. And then you don't know what's going to happen with Van de Ven. There's a lot to happen at Tottenham before we know they've got a settled squad.
You talked about that captain's armband there. Do you give that straight to Andy Robertson potentially?
Well, I think you do. I think you certainly make him club captain, 100%. Because the thing with Andy Robertson, and look, he's a fit lad, but I'd be still surprised if he played every single week in the Premier League. So, I talked about Udogie, whether it's him and Andy Robertson who are going to take that left-back slot throughout the whole of the season. But I think Andy Robertson's there to kind of bring his experience and nurture maybe your doggy and even the rest of the players to see how you approach games and what it means, the mentality. I think that's more important to the Derby than Andy Robertson playing week in, week out.
Yeah, I think that would be a good shout. Get him in. He's clearly brought him in for that leadership and give that armband to him, like you say, and make him the club captain. Right, in just a moment here on the Saturday session, we've got to do it, haven't we? We've got to talk about Sunderland at some point. I mean, I've tried to hold off. But that's coming next here on the Saturday session.
Perez, for his part, has promised he'll appoint Jose Mourinho as manager if he's elected.
She's done it, already.
Well, that's what he wants to do, but he's got to get elected to make it official. Riquelme, meantime, for his part, is saying no to Mourinho. He's promised to make Madrid legend Raúl his sporting director and will not appoint Mourinho. He says, if I win the elections, I will bring to Real Madrid a superstar manager, the biggest manager you can imagine. Jose Mourinho is not that manager. He promised also, and this is where it gets interesting, to sign Manchester City midfielder Rodri, as well as Erling Haaland, and then held up a Madrid shirt with Haaland's name on the back of it. And one would think that Manchester City are none too happy about that. Is it arrogant in a presidential...
On the river where they used to build the boats, by the harbour wall, the place you love the most.
There's fist pumps from Micky Graham, Sunderland legend, as this song plays out. He's with me, Olly Clink, Newcastle fan, this afternoon.
The Shipyards, that is.
It is,
What a tune.
It is. Micky Graham vocals, aren't you, there?
Mate, I've sang that loads of times in the shower, let me tell you. What a tune.
You got a voice? You got the pipes?
In the shower, yeah.
When no one's listening.
Yeah, exactly.
Best singer in the world.
Amazing.
It's from the Netflix documentary, that, isn't it? I enjoyed that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because you were rubbish in that. But I didn't enjoy this season, Micky, especially the two derbies. But we should talk about it. I mean, heading into the season, what did you genuinely think Sunderland would achieve? Because obviously you follow the club very closely. There was a lot of people saying they've come up via the playoffs. You know, a lot of that squad had no Premier League experience. They made that statement signing with Granit Xhaka, which was fantastic. They got their recruitment absolutely bang on. Did you expect them, though, to end up in a European place? It's quite amazing.
Absolutely not. Didn't think they'd get anywhere near that. Before we made a signing, and this is the gospel truth, I thought, was it Derby County who've got the lowest?
Yeah, 11 points.
Yeah. I thought that was in jeopardy.
Wow.
And that is the gospel truth. But then you know that players are going to sign, you know things are going to change and it's not going to be as bad as you think. But when signings, as you mentioned, there's Xhaka coming through the door, but 14 new signings, and not many of them didn't work. You know, they all fitted into a style that Regis Labrie wanted to play in the Premier League. And I went to that first game at the Stadium of Light against West Ham. And it was like a moment where I went, my goodness, this is a good side. How long can they keep it going? And every single week, I mean, you're playing against Arsenal at home, Chelsea, Man City at home. I know Chelsea was the last day of the season, but you're playing against these sides at home and you're thinking, this can't continue this. I mean, they had the longest unbeaten run at home, I think it was in the Premier League before they lost their first game. And it was just sensational every single week. We went to Stamford Bridge and beat Chelsea and we were like, oh my God. And these players, look, I'll be brutally honest with you, 6 or 7 or maybe an 8, 9, 10 of these players I'd not heard of. I'd maybe seen them play 1 or 2 games. Siddiqui in midfield, Talby coming into the start 11, young players, Brian Brobby, who I knew, but I didn't know what he could bring to the Premier League. Look, he doesn't get enough goals, in my opinion, but sorry to mention it, but that Newcastle game at St James's Park, he was absolutely incredible. I mean, Dan Burns probably still limping around now. I mean, it must have been the shock of their lives playing against him because he was just incredible.
He terrorised them.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He really was. So I think from that side of things, it was a huge surprise and a great shock of how well your first season has actually gone in the Premier League. And finishing the Europa League positions at the end of the season, I think, is just reward.
Sorry to mention it. You don't mean that, do you? You don't mean that at all. When you look at this summer then for Sunderland, they strengthened so well after that championship season. Who would you like to see them sign this summer? What will help them kick on? Because let's be honest, they're going to have that European campaign. We know how much that can take out the sides. So who do you want to see come through the door? Yeah,
I mean, this is going to be a tough season. There's no other way around it. I've seen other sides who've struggled, who've been, have had a great second, third season, who've got themselves in Europe, Burnley being one of them. The squad just wasn't big enough. But realistically, and I've got names down here who I think would make Sunderland's squad better. I've actually got some Newcastle ones down for you as well.
Good stuff. How long's that list?
Well, I've got six down, I think, for the Newcastle side. I think I've got 4 or 5 for Sunderland. These are realistic players who I wouldn't mind seeing through the door at Sunderland. We need goals.
So Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah, him and Haaland. I've actually put, and this is a realistic sign, Zian Fleming from Burnley.
Yeah,
who got double figures for Burnley this season in a really, really struggling, poor side. And I think that's what we need. We need goals. It's not to say that Brobby and Isidore aren't good enough. I'd probably keep Brobby. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with Isidore at Sunderland, but I think Zian Fleming will be a very clever signing, who I think you get for decent money, who would add to the squad and make them better. Here's a one for you. Jordan Henderson going back to Sunderland.
See, I was surprised he didn't in the first place.
Yeah, me too.
Do you think that could be an option?
Well, I think he's got unfinished business there. Because under Roy, when he broke into Sunderland's team, I remember a story that came out of Sunderland. There was a reserve game and they played at Durham at the time. And Roy Keane went in at half-time in the dressing room and said, do any of you think that you're good enough to play in my first team? And that's when Jordan stepped up and stood up and said, yeah, me. And from that moment, he started playing for Sunderland, then got his big move to Liverpool. I mean, there was Man United. Everybody were after him. And we all know the end story of that. So I think he's got unfinished business. And it's not unrealistic to say that he wouldn't finish his career at Sunderland, which would be great. And I think it's also a nice replacement for Xhaka if he can't play every single week. Type of experience, that leadership. I've got Liam Delap, and I think he might be on the Newcastle list as well.
Well, he was last summer.
Yeah.
And then opted for Chelsea.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking about what Sunderland haven't had this season in its goals. And I know people might look and go, oh, he was terrible at Chelsea this season. I just don't think it was the right fit for him.
He didn't really have the game time,
no,
really,
he didn't.
either. So,
but if you go back to the season prior when he was at Ipswich, he was the main man, and we're all saying, right, he's going to be in the Premier League next season. I just think that move from Ipswich to Chelsea was maybe too big of a gap for him. So I think you've got to kind of remember what he achieved at Ipswich and what he can bring to a side like Sunderland. So there will be certainly 2 or 3 players I would look at. Other ones, Shea Charles, people might know him from Southampton. Yeah, started at Man City. Yeah, very good player. I think somebody like him would be a really good addition to the Sunderland side. And I've also got another player who I've got on the Newcastle and Sunderland list. I've got Savinho.
Ooh, okay. You'll have seen a lot of him. You go to a lot of games at the
Yeah.
FA, of course, and he hasn't played too much. For
Yeah,
Manchester
I think he lost his way a little bit at City, and he's kind of, I think there's 2 or 3, maybe even 4 players ahead of him at Man City. And you look at his numbers and they're not great, but I see something in him. And also I see a young player who maybe can go, let me just take a step back here. Let me find myself, because he played the last day of the season against Aston Villa. I was at the game. He was unbelievable. So he's got something there. He just needs the end product, goals and assists. And I think just taking that little bit of a step back, out of the limelight a little bit, I think he could be a good signing for somebody in this summer.
Can't be a hero at a club like Sunderland.
Without a doubt. Which is why I've also put him on the Newcastle list, because I think you need 2 wide players now. Obviously,
Definitely.
Anthony Gordon's left. So that would be my Sunderland to make them a little bit better.
Right.
And that's keeping hold of who we've already got, which I think might be a bit of a problem this summer as well.
Does your Newcastle list make us worse? Is that what you've got for
No, listen, I've got some good players. And obviously, you're not going to sign all of these. You might not sign any of them, but you've got to go back to a club where things didn't work out with Johan Visser, in my eyes. And there's a lot of clubs who'd be after him. There's obviously Thiago, the striker. I think he'd be a brilliant signer for Newcastle. You need goals.
Yeah.
You definitely need goals. But if I go through them quickly for you, I mean, what's going to happen to Ollie Watkins in the summer? I don't know. So there's 2 kind of strikers, if you like. I've also got Nicholas Jackson down there as well, if these are on your list.
Yeah, Jackson was an interesting one.
Yeah.
Watkins is a shout.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, there was speculation
make
about
that move.
Well, he was going to leave, wasn't he? I mean, there was talk about him leaving in the summer, and I think there was also talk about him leaving in January as well. So I'm realistically looking at players, not just throwing names at you here. But I think there are 3 realistic signings for you. But wide players, I've also mentioned Savinho. I mentioned him already to you. I think he'd be a good signing for Newcastle, depending on what direction you want to go. I've got Marcus Rashford and Mitoma.
Mitoma. I like that shout. With Marcus Rashford, it's whether we could pay the wages. That's what I would worry about.
Marcus has to be a realist. He's not going to get what he was on at Manchester United. I think that's the reason, or the problem what he's got at Barcelona, because of his salary. He's going to have to go to himself at some point, right, I know I'm not going to get 350 grand a week. I might not even get 250 grand a week. But whatever he's going to be earning is a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah, it's essentially a swap deal, that as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is. But, what does Marcus want? Does he want to play every single week? Or does he want to go to a football club where he's going to be in and out, earning the big bucks, if you like? I know there was talk about Arsenal, but I just think those players are kind of realistic for Newcastle and Sunderland. And wouldn't you like watching them, 3 or 4 of those players putting on a Newcastle shirt and enjoying that forward line and getting them back to where I personally think they should be, which is challenging for the top 4 this season.
What do you think is the more attractive destination then, Micky? With your no bias at all here, obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't have any either.
Well, look, I mean, you brought it up. You started this conversation. I just think European football is a pull for international players, European players. And it's not just the Conference League, it's Europa League, which is a big deal. When you think about what Aston Villa have achieved this season, West Ham a couple of seasons ago, I think that's a real pull. But if you're talking about a scale of who can go out and spend the big bucks, I would probably say Newcastle would be in a better position to do so because of the things that we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, it's also about who might get it more consistently. And I know they're not in it, and Sunderland are at the moment, but at the moment, you'd probably argue that would be Newcastle, given their recent track record. We're building up, by the way, to the Epsom Derby. Live commentary of that coming up very shortly. I just want to keep you across to tennis, though, because Russian 8th seed Mira Andreeva has won her first Grand Slam title in her first major final appearance, beating Maja Walinska 6-3, 6-2. The 19-year-old is the youngest French Open champion since Monica Seles in 1992. What an achievement that is. And she's the first teenager to win the French Open women's singles title since Iga Swiatek in 2020. Right, like I mentioned, we are gearing up for the Betfred Derby. Let's bring back in our team down at Epsom, the former jockey Lizzie Kelly, alongside talkSPORT's Rupert Bell. Rupert, how's the atmosphere building ahead of the big one?
Well, really, the weather's really putting a mocker on proceedings because it's blowing an absolute hoolie right across the course. But the King is in the stands. They've just had the national anthem being sung by a local choir in front of His Majesty. But Now the real kings of the day are about to go into the stalls for the Derby, and it's a really intriguing race with now the ground being run on soft ground because of the rain we've had, and Aidan O'Brien looking for a 12th success in the race. He does have the favourite in Benvenuto Cellini, and this ridden by Ryan Moore, but he's got other chances as well. Pierre Bonnard, also with Christmas Day not unfancied. So but there are plenty of others who genuinely believe they can win this year's renewal of our greatest classic.
Yeah, Item. He's got an old-fashioned profile coming into this. He had 2 starts as a 2-year-old. He won the Dante, which is a very traditional trial for this race. I think he's a horse who was very, very impressive when he won the Dante. Pierre Bonnard, he's another one of the Aidan O'Brien runners. He won a Group 1 on very soft ground at Saint-Cloud last season, and I think that that's a really good pointer for today, because the ground, I mean, Benvenuto Cellini's actually got mud on his face already as a result of following horses down to the start. So that just gives you an idea of how soft it is here today.
Yeah, just actually sweating up a little bit. I know it's cold, and we saw that. Does that in danger of boiling? Remember, these horses are relatively inexperienced and young horses at 3 years of age.
Yeah, they are, and you know that's why it's always quite good if they've had the experience of their 2-year-old season. That could be a negative for Item, who only ran the twice. Benvenuto Cellini is 3-1, Pierre Bonnard is 4-1, Item is 13-2, along with Christmas Day who's 15-2, James J. Braddock 8-1, Bay of Brilliance 10-1, Maltese Cross 12-1.
And interesting to see that money for Pierre Bonnard was 11-2, and maybe backing up the fact that may be seen as the soft ground specialist in this race, and having won in France in those conditions that you talked about at Saint-Cloud. So Pierre Bonnard. Well, other ones, James J. Braddock was a little bit fractious, sort of going down, but trained by Joseph O'Brien, not without a chance as well. Stamina seems to be something this horse might have, but it's a question, the conditions, how he's going to cope.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to be, it's going to be the case for a lot of these. You know, a lot of these won't have faced these sort of conditions before, and it's going to be really interesting how this race sort of pans out tactically as well. We've obviously got horses in here which are probably going to be front runners and pacemakers. One of them would be Poker, another one's probably Christmas Day or Action. You know, it will be interesting to see how quickly they do go in this.
Well, Poker cost Keir Jarubshan 4.3 million guineas, and not so far. Hasn't won a race so far, but will be looking for a return on his investment here with a bold showing. His horses have run well in this race at big prices. I'll tell you what, Benvenuto Cellini is sweating up a storm.
Yeah, which is weird, really, considering that it's not particularly warm. In fact, it's absolutely freezing. Action's another one of the Aidan O'Brien horses and of the runners who is also sweating up as well. Christmas Day looks like he's just about to get loaded.
Yep, Ronan Whelan on board Christmas Day. And coming forward now into the stalls is Rebel Rocker, the outsider, trained by Faye Bramley, Rob Hornby on board. Saw a nice touch. Rowan Scott, who's riding Poker, was given a Derby cap. Every jockey gets one when they ride in there first, and it was presented to him by the King. Nice touch there for Rowan Scott, as I say, riding Poker. And coming forward is Item, trained by Andrew Balding. His father won the race with Mill Reef back in the early 70s, and a rare feat it is to be a father and son training winners of the Derby. Last, I think, was David O'Brien, who was the son of the legendary trainer Vincent O'Brien. Coming forward now is A Taste of Glory for Andrew Balding, and also Action and Wayne Lorden. Who's your fancy then, finally, as they load them into the stalls?
I like Benvenuto Cellini. He's done all of the right things. The Chester Vase that he won has produced 7 Derby winners, and he won the race in a really decent time as well. My only concern is obviously the ground, and I think Pierre Bonnard will run a big race.
Well, coming forward is Poker, Rowan Scott, and also coming forward is Balzac, trained by Jane Chappell-Hyam. Sylvester de Souza on board. There's been no female trainer winning the Derby. 2 in this race, Faye Bramley and Jane Chappell-Hyam, but on paper they don't quite look good enough. And Balzac is coming forward now into the stalls. The 14 runners, I think they're all set here for the renewal of a race first run in 1780. And here we go. The derby is up and running, and Action is trying to take a strong pace. And also right up there is Ancient Egypt, and Christmas Day is looking to set a strong pace, as is Item is another one right up there. Rebel Rocker on the far side as they go up the rising ground with his right-hand turn to begin with. Another one going along nicely is Balzac. Right in the mix, James J. Braddock. And then look in behind there is Bay of Brilliance as they try to settle now. And again, the way they've gone up that hill, it was quite a quick time early on, and the pace is a strong one. This is going to be a proper test of stamina, which is currently being set by Action, then Item, then Christmas Day. That's the 1, 2, 3. Right up there is Ancient Egypt in fourth. Under pressure already, it seems Rebel Rocker trying to hold his position. Maltese Cross travelling well enough, and also travelling well enough Balzac in mid-division. Then you look back and you can see Bay of Brilliance. Then it is on the inside Poker trying to go the shortest way, looking for Benvenuto Cellini, and right out the back, and also at the back is A Taste of Glory, and another one towards the rear is Alderman. And Pierre Bernard is third last at the moment, but it's the stablemate to Pierre Bernard, Action, who is leading from Christmas Day. It's an Aidan O'Brien 1-2. What do you make of it so far? And I tell you what, the favourite's got an awful lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, too much surely from that position. He's got a long amount of ground to make up, along with Pierre Bernard. Item is in a really nice position in about second row.
Well, they've gone through 5 furlongs and they're starting to make the descent towards Tattenham Corner, and it's Action who leads them with Christmas Day. Item going along well enough. Coming under a bit of pressure is Balzac sitting in 5th. Also running a big race early on is Agent Egypt, and Maltese Cross is on the inside. Rebel Rocker, 1 or 2 of them coming under a bit of pressure here, and one of those is Poker's. His race has been run as they now descend down the hill coming towards the home straight, starting to pick up maybe James J. Braddock, but Action leads from Christmas Day. Running a huge race is Ancient Egypt. Now, how's it going to pan out as they come into the straight? They're spreading across the track. Christmas Day may have it. Action looks to be coming under pressure. Item's got every chance, and also trying to pick up his Maltese Cross. Another one trying to pick up is A Bay of Brilliance, and Pierre Bernard is starting to rattle through the field, and Benito Cellini's got no chance at this stage, but it's Christmas Day who's holding on with Ronan Whelan, and can they get them? They're struggling to pick up, and one of those trying to pick up is Maltese Cross, but I think Christmas Day is going to come home and celebrate, although it's weakening now in the final stages. Maybe a chance for Maltese Cross, but I don't think it's going to get there. No, it's Christmas Day in June. What a performance from Christmas Day, bravely out in front. Another winner for Aidan O'Brien, a first win in the race for jockey Ronan Whelan, but it's a 4-peat for Aidan O'Brien, a 12th derby in all. Christmas Day always in the van. Maltese Cross tried to get up. I think James J. Braddock was in third, but another really good, strong performance, not unfancied. Relish the conditions.
Relish the conditions, and I think that is absolutely the most important thing that he enjoyed about that, because he'd had previous good form on heavy ground when he won his maiden, but my goodness, this is such a huge improvement from what he's shown previously. But at 7-1, clearly there were people who had felt that that was going to suit him here today. You know, he's just travelled really easily through the race. It was quite noticeable coming down the hill how far back Benvenuto Cellini and Pierre Bernard were, and how much ground they were going to have to make up, and they just didn't look like they were travelling well enough to be able to do that, and they very much didn't.
Yeah, well, Christmas Day always in a good position. Action, the race was run as they came into the straight. Plenty, if they were able to pick up in the rain-softened ground, had chances, but Christmas Day was just resolutely out in front, reminiscent of Lambourne's performance last year in similar soft conditions, and was able to keep on going. And Maltese Cross was able to come out of the pack, and James J. Braddock again running a good race for each way backers in third, and also running a decent race with Bay of Brilliance, but nothing was able to stop Christmas Day supporters celebrating with a really gutsy performance. And for Ronan Whelan, well, it's a red letter day for him as well.
Rupert, thanks very much indeed. Christmas Day taking the derby then. Remember, Racing TV is the home of live British and Irish horse racing, showing every race from 61 racecourses. talkSPORT listeners can try the channel out for free with a 1-month trial. Simply head to racingtv.com/free trial now.
Crookie, what about Ellie Anderson? We're led to believe that opening bid from City has been knocked back from Forest. Is it just a case of a matter of time, this one getting over the line?
I think so, and again, no surprise that City have tried to make their move early. We were told at talkSPORT a couple of weeks ago that in an ideal world, Ellie Anderson's future would be sorted before he kicked his first ball for England at the World Cup. Obviously, City are trying to get this one done. We know that Evangelos Marinakis can be a difficult negotiator. Just ask Tottenham and Morgan Gibbs-White from this time last year. But all the information I have is that City have always been Elliot Anderson's preferred choice, despite the fact there's also interest from Manchester United. This is a deal I do expect to happen. And again, it comes back to what we said at the start of the section. Real Madrid and Rodri, if they get Elliot Anderson in, could the time be right to cash in on Rodri, who clearly hasn't been the same player since returning from injury as he was before?
Crookie, I've got some breaking news. I've heard from my sources at Aston Villa that Morgan Rodri...
Good afternoon, this is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink, alongside the former England fullback, Micky Gray. Micky, you've had a message.
Yeah.
The Newcastle legend.
We were trying to figure out what players have gone from Newcastle. It's difficult when you put on the spot, isn't it? But Steve Howie messaged me here saying Lee Clark.
Oh, good shout.
Yeah.
Good shout, Steve.
My roommate, Clarky.
Yeah,
Great lad.
If you ever want to come in instead of Micky, Steve, you're more than welcome. At any
Get
point.
him in, he's good.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, yeah. We are across all of the sport today. Just an update on the cricket at Lords, by the way. It's still raining at the moment. New Zealand are 55 for 5. Their target is 254, so England in a good position, but they just can't get out there to finish off the job. There's also qualifying at the Monaco Grand Prix. talkSPORT's Tom Clayton joins us now. How's it looking, Tom?
Yeah, so it's actually just finished, and an incredible run, an incredible qualifying session. It was so close. But once again, it's the Mercedes teenage sensation, 19 years old, Kimi Antonelli, has taken pole position from Max Verstappen in a sort of surprising second place. And Verstappen, get this, was less than a tenth of a second behind Antonelli. So close. Then the two Ferraris, Hamilton finishing third place. He's being cheered on by Kim Kardashian this weekend, a reference for Shabana Hearn there. Also Charles Leclerc. There was a point at this qualifying session in the final round of runs that Antonelli and Verstappen were separated by 1,000th of a second, 0.001 of a second. That is absolutely insane. And especially considering, bear in mind, the barriers are in front of your face at Monaco. It's so tight. It's going to be really interesting. George Russell could only get 6th. He's having a really tough time in his Mercedes when his teammate is seemingly winning everything. You know, Antonelli's won 4 in a row, and he's going to go into tomorrow's Grand Prix from pole position on a track that's famously difficult to overtake on. Lights out 2 o'clock. Antonelli's going to go from pole, Verstappen second, Hamilton third, and Leclerc fourth.
Tom, thanks very much indeed. 19 years old, that's mad. I can't even drive. I'm 30 next week. It's embarrassing, really, that, isn't it? You love your F1, Micky.
Yeah.
Have you been out to Monaco? Obviously, it's iconic.
I've done it about 10 times. I've done that one. I've done Abu Dhabi. I've still yet to do the British Grand Prix, but I love me Formula One. Watch it every single week, the practice and the qualifying. I've obviously missed it because I'm here with you today, so that was nice to hear from Tom. I was kind of rooting for Lewis to get on pole because I know how difficult it is to overtake around Monaco. Driven that track so many times because it's just a road, but it's just the best weekend.
Yeah,
it's just a surreal weekend.
Good fun, yeah?
Oh, it's incredible, yeah.
Best trip, best one you've done?
Yeah, probably, yeah. Like lads trip, yeah, I would say. It was just like incredible.
Oh, good stuff. Now, we already know that Bruno Fernandes is the Football Writers Player of the Year. He's also the Premier League Player of the Year. But who will take home the PFA award?
Rice coming round the back, and he's headed it in for 2.
Declan Rice for me has been the player of the season.
I like Fernandes at Man United. He'd be welcomed by any football club because he's got that much ability.
And now he is the outright leader for one season in terms of Premier League assists, up to 21.
Not something that I was chasing when we started the season, but obviously as we got close, very nice to have this kind of award.
Ryan Cherky's player of the year.
And here's the chance. for Turkey inside the penalty area to finish off the victory.
And Haaland has a hat-trick. Gabriel is back. He's put enough pressure on Martinez to smuggle it home.
It's another set-piece goal from Arsenal.
I've got to give a massive shout-out to David Raya because he's been brilliant this season.
Raya was able to block the second shot that came in, and it stays 0-0.
If I'm picking my player of the year, he would have to come from Raya, Gabriel or Rice. One of those three.
Yeah, Micky, the 6-player shortlist for the PFA Player of the Year award has been announced. You've got Arsenal's Premier League winners, Declan Rice, Gabriel and David Raya. You've got the Man City pair, Erling Haaland and Ryan Cherki. But, of course, the main competition is going to be the Manchester United captain, Bruno Fernandes, who's already picked up a couple of gongs. Who do you think it should go for?
None of the 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Who are you giving it to? Brian Brobby?
Granite Jacket. No, Bernardo Silva would have been mine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's unlucky, isn't he?
Yeah, I can't believe he's not in the top 6. Incredible player, incredible season. And when you watch him, like I did pretty much most weeks, I just see what he brings. And he's going to be a massive miss to Manchester City. Sensational player. And I can't believe he's not in that top 6. But you've asked me to pick one of the top 6. Well, the standout for me of the top 6, I mean, it's easy to look at somebody who's won the Premier League, but Bruno Fernandes, who, like you mentioned there before, has already won a couple of accolades this season already. I think 21 assists, the goals to boot alongside that. Where would Man United have maybe been without Bruno Fernandes this season? Just defies logic with his age. You maybe think he would slow down a little bit, but what an incredible season he's got. But absolutely, for me, Bernardo Silva was my player of the season.
Yeah, that's a great shout. I hadn't really thought about
what a player.
Bernardo Silva being in there. When you do look at the other candidates, it's funny because you can look at those players that won the Premier League, and I think they all deserve to be in there. And they're probably a bit unlucky that it's been such a team effort from Arsenal. But the player I wanted to pick out is Erling Haaland, because he scored 27 Premier League goals. Do you think there's an element with Haaland where he has set his standard so high, especially in that first season where he scored, 35 Premier League goals, something like that? He set his standard so high that he's scoring 27 in a season, and he's kind of being overlooked, really, isn't he? Are we sleeping on that a bit?
Well, I think any other normal player, you know, if you turn around and said they've got 27 Premier League goals in a season, I think he finished with about 40 odd, didn't he? If you European goals and international goals, might be closer to 50. But he's still a freak of nature. I've said it on air so many times. I think the only thing I've not seen him do is walk out the tunnel with a cape on. He's just I've never seen anything like him. But 27 goals. Did he have an incredible season? From his levels, no, I think he didn't. But he's going to smash records left, right and centre. He already has done, 11 hat-tricks, I think, since he's went in the door at Man City. The amount of goals that he's got, he's breaking records. He's already broken Aguero's record at Man City. He's done it in half the time, I think. But as a standout season, you're right. I don't think there's one standout. Declan Rice is the one that springs off the page out of the top 6. And I suppose David Raya, I mean, he's made himself into a world-class goalkeeper. Didn't think he was that good, I have to be brutally honest with you. But I think it's pretty difficult to win as a goalkeeper, isn't it? But if I was picking an Arsenal player, I think I would maybe look at Raya. But Bruno Fernandes this season's just been off the charts.
Yeah, I think with Ryan Cherki, he was a breath of fresh air, wasn't he? And he'll be such a talent, and I can't wait to watch him actually next season. But you just feel that it wasn't across the entire campaign, and that's due to a few injury issues and things like that. On David Raya, I think you bang on, because when you watch that League Cup final where he played Kepa in goal, and I think it was one of the biggest mistakes that Mikel Arteta made that season, you saw the difference that David Raya brings. And we talk so much about the brilliant saves he makes, etc. But it's actually that build-up play, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's so important. And I think if you're going to pick one of those Arsenal players, I would have gone with Raya over Rice.
Yeah. No, I have to agree with that. I think, we judge goalkeepers on saves and what they bring to a season. But I think also as well, which is kind of, evolved in the game, is goalkeepers becoming more like sweeper keepers again, which used to be a saying when I was playing. Goalkeepers kind of standing on the edge of the 18-yard area and sweeping things up. But I think David Raya brings a lot more than that. He's got that calm and influence about him when the ball's played back to him inside his 18-yard area. And everything seems to start from him. There's certain clubs that want to play out from the back, and I know Arsenal do that. But his distribution, as well as his goalkeeping, is absolutely first class. It really is. And again, I looked at the height of Raya when he first went to Arsenal. I thought, is he going to be the goalkeeper that's going to make the change from Arsenal being kind of like, I don't want to say has-beens, but, nearly men, if you like, to maybe turning them into Premier League champions? Well, we've been proved right this season, and I think that's maybe a lot is down to him.
When you look at the Fernandes situation, he's someone obviously you've watched not just this season, but so often when you've covered games up in Manchester. I think he gets a bit disrespected here. For me, if he takes that prize, he's fully earned it. Mm-hmm. He's been consistent throughout the season. And what you've got to bear in mind too is the fact that under Ruben Amorim, who's playing further back, he was still getting those numbers. Yeah. But yet you still got, I don't know, the likes of Roy Keane going, well, what is the assist record? Because for some of them, he's just tapping the ball to a teammate. Does that really count as an assist, etc.? Do you feel as if he's been a bit disrespected in terms of what he's achieved this season?
I think he can be undermined at times, but you ask any of the top strikers, i.e. Erling Haaland, people like Ollie Watkins, and those type of ilk players, if you like, would they like Bruno Fernandes to be playing in a midfield role behind him? And how many chances would you get per game? I think every single one of them would say, absolutely, get him in my squad. I need him in the team because he just brings something out of the ordinary. He tries things that I think certain other players wouldn't try. He's got that fearlessness about him. And you can't diss his assists. Some of them might be simple tap-ins, but you've got to work an area and work a situation for him to actually play that final ball into the box for somebody just to tap it in the back of the net. But if you look at 65-70% of his assists, I mean, it's a long through ball, it's a cross, it's a great cross, or it's something a little bit different that you don't see from other players. He's a talent, Bruno Fernandes. Yeah,
and very important to Manchester United, of course, he will also be at the World Cup with Portugal, and we're giving you the chance to win a trip there, courtesy of Adidas. You and a mate could be in New York on June the 27th, seeing England against Panama live. We've got your flights, hotels, spending money, match tickets, and the official Trionder match ball all covered. Head to talksportwin.com to enter, and for full T's and C's now.
Let's talk about the World Cup then in a bit more detail. England, of course, touched down in America ahead of the competition. Let me get your views on the squad. Lots of players that a lot of people should have been in it weren't. Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Gibbs White, Adam Wharton, Trent, of course, Harry Maguire being another one. What have you made of the squad and the players that aren't going?
All of them players are the real technicians. Adam Wharton, Foden, Cole Palmer,
Trent.
And Trent. So my opinion personally is the majority of them players should have gone, because I think that holding the ball in a World Cup is the most crucial thing. And and being that team. But Thomas has gone the other way. Thomas, you can see he's picked by the team he's picked. It's going to be a sort of low to mid block, and he's going to look for counter-attacking football, right? So personally, I would have done it differently, but.
This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink. I'm alongside Micky Gray. Micky, I want a quick chat with you about Marcus Rashford. A bit earlier on, you were trying to sell him to Newcastle United. Didn't mind that, to be honest. It would be a bit of a strange swap, wouldn't it? Because he's been out in Barcelona. He got 14 goals, 14 assists in 47 appearances for them. Anthony Gordon's arrived for £70 million. His future's still very much up in the air. What do you think is next for Marcus Rashford?
Well, I think that boils down to him. I really do, in how much desire he's still got left in him to go and play at the top level, whether it's in the Premier League or whether it's somewhere in Europe. It looks like his Barcelona tenure is finished, if you like, with obviously the signing of Anthony Gordon, which is why I kind of half mentioned him signing for Newcastle. I'm not sure if he's an Eddie Howe type of player, who has to track back as well as do something in the final third. I don't know if Marcus has got the energy levels to do that, which is why he kind of lost his way a little bit at Manchester United at the end before he left. But there's no doubting that Marcus has certainly got something to offer still for one of the top sides in the Premier League. I look at Marcus and I think, right, deep down, how much do you really want to be playing at the top level still?
It's funny, I was listening to an interview with Ollie Watkins out at the England camp, and he was asked about who he thinks is the most talented player that you see in training, and Rashford was who he brought up. Now, they'd have been at Aston Villa together too, but the way he waxed lyrical about the ability of Marcus Rashford was quite something, really. Just on that Gordon transfer too, how surprising did you find that, Gordon heading out for 70 million, especially when, look, he's not pulled up trees, you could argue. He's not had a bad season, has he, at Barcelona? He must be hurting a bit because of that. It could be quite awkward in that England dressing room. Absolutely.
I mean, I was obviously on holiday when I heard the news. I was very surprised because I was expecting him to be wearing a Bayern Munich shirt. There was a lot of talk about that. But having covered quite a lot of Newcastle games this season and heard the murmurs, if you like, getting a little bit louder and louder towards the end of the season, and you as well. I mean, you can answer this one as well. I don't think there's too many Newcastle supporters, which surprises me that he's actually gone. But I think one of the positive sides of it is they've actually got that deal done quickly this time around.
Yeah, it's really good business. I think in terms of Gordon, he had one outstanding season for us. It was when they came seventh. It was the season they were first back in the Champions League, and he scored plenty of goals, got plenty of assists, looked a real player. But I'd argue since then, his form's kind of dropped off. You look at this season, scored 6 Premier League goals, and 3 of them were penalties, by the way. I felt that in the Champions League, he did well. I think it's 10 goals that he scored. Yeah. But bear in mind, 4 against Karabag, and he nicked a penalty off Nick Voltemade to get one of those 4, and another one of those was a penalty too. And it just felt for me after a while as if he was just angling for that move. I do think he's done well to get to Barcelona. My question about Gordon is, what do you think his ceiling is? Because I wouldn't be surprised, Micky, to be fair, if he goes over to La Liga, scores a hatful of goals, does well for Barcelona. But he himself talks a lot about, getting to that next level and being one of the best players in the world. Can you see the quality there for him to actually reach that?
It's difficult to answer, isn't it? I think if he's certainly got the attributes and the ability to be one of the best wide players in European football. There's no question. I mean, I don't want to do comparisons. It's very hard to do that because he's his own individual player. But I look at Michael Olise, who went to Bayern Munich, and I didn't think he could reach the levels he's reached. I knew he was a great player, but he's made himself into one of the best players around Europe right now. And Anthony Gordon's going to get that chance playing in a side like Barcelona, who love to see players taking on defenders, cutting inside, scoring goals, or making goals for whatever centre forward's going to be playing for them next season, because we know it's not going to be Lewandowski. But if I was Barcelona, would he have been the first choice or the first signing in the summer when Marcus is there, who's going to be on a free transfer, I think, or it was going to cost them 26, 27 million quid. They've now went and spent double that on a very similar player, if you like. So they've obviously seen something in him, whether it's down to an age thing is maybe one of the reasons why they've gone for him. But I think it'll suit him. It's how quickly he settles. I know he's speaking fluent Spanish now, which was another bit of a surprise for me. So it feels like he's been ready and knew that move was going to happen.
Yeah, he's there going, enjoyed my time at Newcastle so much. I mean, my Duolingo score was through the roof. Yeah, thanks so much for all of that. Just quickly, who would you, like I mentioned that England situation. Who would you start? Would you start Rashford or Gordon?
I think I'd start Marcus. I really do. I just think if you're going to play in that heat with a solid back four with maybe one or two holder midfield players, I think, you're looking at a 6 defensively and you're looking at 4 offensively. And I think with the dynamism of Saka, Marcus, Harry Kane, and whether it's Rodgers or Bellingham, I think that's your 4.
Yeah, how bizarre is that? The fact that Gordon's gone to Barca.
Crazy.
I agree with you. I'd probably start Rashford ahead of him for England. In just a moment here on the Saturday session, though, we're going to be building up to Scotland's warm-up game against Bolivia. Stay with us.
He's the sort of player, Andy, that you can't really look at age because he could play at this level for another 4 or 5 years at least.
Do you think that long?
Yeah, I do.
31, you think he could be playing?
Doesn't rely on his pace.
No, he doesn't, but it's very rare you get great players. Even look at Mo Salah, right? Last season before last was... Yeah,
you know
well, I did look at Salah and thought his pace had gone. His just whole game went all of a sudden overnight.
I think when I watched him, he didn't look as quick, but I feel like Bruno Fernandes, do you know what I mean? You'll find a position for him, even if his legs do go a little bit. He's just that talented. His passing range, mate. Do you know what I mean? Set pieces.
Reportedly has a £57 million release clause for European clubs. That means he can't throw him, say go to Man City. Should the likes of Real Madrid be all over that? Is that a bargain?
I would. If I'm Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, any club, maybe not PSG, that they've got a very good midfield. But if I'm Manchester United, I'm saying not a chance. 60 million, 70 million, I'll say no. I feel like he's that good to what Manchester United have done in the last season we just had. And going forward, who are you going to buy to replace him?
Yeah. Well, my view earlier on was get the 57, put 43 to it and go out and get Elliot Anderson. And then you're starting again because he's a young kid.
Of course, yeah. But Elliot Anderson, Bruno Fernandes, 2 different players.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Do you know what I mean? You need to get Elliot Anderson as well as keeping Bruno Fernandes. And how much money will it cost you if you sold Bruno Fernandes? You might get 57 million, but maybe you miss out on Champions League next season. Point.
Yeah. So this was just to remind you, this was Bruno's quote last November. He said, "From the club side, I felt a bit of if you go, it's not really that bad for us. More than hurting, it makes me sad because I'm a player. They have nothing to criticise me for."
This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink. I'm alongside Micky Gray, Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. Good lineup. Good lineup. Follows us from 5 o'clock. The boys will be raring to go, I'm sure. And that's ahead of England against New Zealand, which is at 9 o'clock here on talkSPORT. All the build-up for that will be on the way too, with Adrian Durham and the team out in Tampa, Florida. Scotland have a warm-up game of their own, though. They're taking on Bolivia. They're out in New Jersey, continuing their World Cup preparations. Joining us now to look ahead to that is talkSPORT reporter Paul Mitchell. Paul, how you doing?
Hey, Paul.
I'm very well. Good to hear you guys.
Yeah, good to hear from you. I mean, just firstly, we're heading into this World Cup. It's the first one, of course, for Scotland since 1998. Just how excited are you and the Scotland supporters just to see them on the biggest stage once again?
You know what, Ollie, in the last couple of days, I think it's finally hit home that Scotland are going to be there, which might sound a little bit daft, but, you know, just in the last few days, really getting excited about this. Scotland's last taste of football in the World Cup was on the 23rd of June, 1998. I was much younger, as we all were, and we got absolutely thumped by Morocco 3-0. It's been a long time to wait to get back and to try and get back on track, but there's such a sense of excitement. There's so many people going out. It's great to see on social media, you know, people packing so many kits to take and just the general excitement. I think the ticketing thing has been disappointing, and I think that's been covered the way that FIFA have handled the ticketing. But the Scottish fans are pretty resourceful, and they'll find a way to get their hands on as many tickets as they can.
Obviously, there's the group stage curse. They've never managed to get out of it. When you look at that group, it's tricky. Haiti, Brazil and Morocco. They take on Haiti first, though, on the 14th of June here, so it'll be 2 a.m. kickoff for that one. How are you feeling heading into it, Paul? Because, you know, given the amount of teams at this World Cup, surely this time Scotland make it out.
Well, it's good that Scotland qualified directly, so there was no playoffs involved. Scotland qualified directly, and we can take hope from that. But one of the other jinxes that Scotland have got to get past, it was announced this week that I think Scotland will wear their change kit for this game, which is either pink or scarlet red, depending on your take on it. And Scotland have never won a World Cup match wearing their change kit. They've played 5 times. They've never managed to win. So, you know, we're trying to find omens that will be good. It's not. I'll tell you what, though, I was encouraged, and I had no doubt about it, really. Steve Clarke talking this week about Haiti, saying, come on, they're nobody's fools. They're actually not a bad side. You know, you were talking earlier in the show about Wilson Isidore, who's Sunderland striker, who's now going to be playing for them, picked up, you know, this year, as has been the case with a number of nations who've gone to people and said, look, we're in the World Cup. Do you want to come and play for us? So, you know, it's not a bad a side as some people think. I mean, they played Peru yesterday, and they were 1-0 up. They lost 2 goals late, but by that point, I think they changed 9 of their players. So again, their first 11 looks pretty strong.
I mean, it would be so Scotland, wouldn't it, by the way, Micky, to lose to Haiti and then beat Brazil to make it through. But it's funny, isn't it? I'm talking about that fixture list. Does it work in their favour at all, Paul? Because what you could end up with, they play Haiti first, then Morocco, then Brazil. But by that point, if Brazil have beaten Morocco and Haiti, they might not have too much to play for. They might have already won the group. Could that play into Scotland's hands?
Well, you might have heard of the Blue Brazil in Scotland, who are Cowdenbeath. Now, if they were going to play Cowdenbeath against Scotland, I would probably be a little bit happier. No, I don't like the way that the groups come out for us. I would have much rather that we'd played Brazil and Morocco first, and then we knew what we had to do against Haiti. We've got to win, but the other problem I think we've got is we've got to win by 2, 3, 4, 5 goals, because, you know, if you think that, you know, Brazil could beat Scotland 2-0, Morocco could beat Scotland 2-0, you start to think, what's the goal difference going to be like if we beat Haiti? So I just think it's important Scotland beat Haiti, and then it's not quite a free hit at the other 2, but they are 2 of the top 10 teams in the world. It's not going to be easy.
And Paul, you talk about the importance of certain individual players, the experience of Scott McTominay, John McGinn, Andy Robinson. How key are they going to be in these group stage games?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head with those 3. I mean, they are 3 guys that you've got to expect must be on 100% of their form. I mean, Scott McTominay has been immense. He's obviously got a lot of love for the overhead kick goal, but I mean, overall, he's been really good. And he only ever scores goals in matches that matter. It's all qualification games he's scored in. John McGinn, fresh off, you know, winning European competition with Aston Villa. There's a bit of swagger about him there. And the other one that's playing well is Lawrence Shankland, who is, Hearts' leading goal scorer this season, who's moved to Rangers, his boyhood club. He's scored in the last 2 internationals. He's looking sharp. And I think Scotland, and Steve Clarke dropped hints about this at various points, I think Scotland will play 2 up front against Haiti. I think they'll be on the front foot against Haiti. What worries me slightly is last weekend against Curaçao, they started 5-4-1. They got a goal, they nicked a goal, and Scotland didn't look like within the next 20, 30 minutes they were going to break them down. And then you had a ridiculous red card, one of the worst I think I've seen in international football. I think it was Lycidio just smashed poor old Aaron Hickey and got himself sent off, and that changed the game. It would have been really interesting to see how Scotland would have played having faced 11 men 1-0 down, and Curaçao were quite happy to sit as deep as they could. I think that might replicate the Haiti game in many ways. Just Scotland, I think the important thing against Haiti is to get the lead and establish themselves as the dominant team.
I'm sure you might have seen, Paul, but Haiti absolutely thrashed New Zealand the other day, 4-0, just to get your nerves jangling a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the game back, and you're watching, and these are comfortable technical players. They can knock the ball about pretty well. They did well to qualify. So, I often flip things around, Ollie. They'll be saying to themselves, right, we've got to beat Scotland. And if we can beat Scotland, we can qualify. That will be their mentality. So, I mean, what an opening game for both, because they both realise it is the most winnable game. And they'll be saying exactly what we're saying in Scotland. We've got to win this game if we're going to give ourselves a chance.
When you look at tonight, then, Bolivia in this warm-up game for England, Thomas Tuchel said that he's going to play 2 different teams across the 2 halves. Are you expecting something similar from Steve Clarke tonight?
Yeah, I think if he doesn't play 2 completely different teams, there'll be a lot of changes at half-time and then more to follow. He'll pretty much empty the bench. Interestingly, Steve Clarke this week said he's 3 priorities tonight. 1, no injuries. 2, good performance, and 3, just get a result in that order. He just wants to come through with no injuries. Obviously, Scotland lost Billy Gilmore. I'm not sure Billy Gilmore would have started, but he's a big loss to the squad. So you just don't, if it was me, I wouldn't be playing John McGinn. I wouldn't be playing Scott McTominay. I'd wrap them up and make sure they were fine for next week.
Yeah, and you know what? We were talking about that a bit earlier with England too, weren't we? Maybe, really managing the minutes, especially if someone like Harry Kane. Paul, thank you very much indeed, mate. Enjoy the game tonight, 9 o'clock kickoff for that. We'll keep you across it whilst live commentary of England against New Zealand is going on here on talkSPORT. This is the Saturday session here. In just a moment, we'll talk about some of the rule changes at the World Cup, and I'm going to ask Micky Gray who he thinks is going to win it.
To be considered a big club, like the likes of Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea.
What, Man City's bigger than Arsenal?
Well, in Europe they are. They won the competition.
Cool, they won the... But what are we saying? Are we talking about trophies, or are we talking about...
I'm talking about dining at the top table with all the big heads that have won it. Do you think you need...
What, so we're only basing this on Europe? So if you win the European Cup, that means you're a big club?
In Europe.
Well, are we not going off all the trophies that we've won?
We haven't won that many.
We've won
Arsenal? Are you joking?
Well, okay, take FA Cups out of it.
No, I think FA Cups. Leagues.
You can
What about
include
leagues?
it.
We've won more Premier Leagues than Liverpool.
I know, but I'm just saying. My question is: do you think you need to win Europe's
No, we don't
biggest competition to be considered a big club?
No, because I think we are.
Good afternoon. This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink. I'm alongside Micky Gray, Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy following us from 5 o'clock. I'm sure all sorts of masks and nonsense on the way. Looking forward to that very much. So they're with you from 5 o'clock. I'm sure they'll be chatting England as well, who are in action tonight against New Zealand, one of their World Cup warm-up games. Talking of the World Cup, Micky, there's a few rule changes that FIFA have announced. I'll run through a few of them. Firstly, VAR can check more incidents, so there'll be wrongly awarded corners, attacking fouls for a goal or a penalty, mistaken identity, some more stuff for VAR to get involved in. The other one that I find quite interesting is about speeding the game up. So substituted players have to leave the field quickly. They have 10 seconds to get off at the nearest point. All their replacement has to wait, and the team plays with 10 men for a short time. Slow restarts are going to be punished too. So if a player delays a throw-in or a goal kick, the referee starts a 5-second countdown. What do you make of these changes? Do you think they're a good thing?
I like the fact, I think there was a couple of yellow cards in the Champions League final, wasn't it? Because Arsenal players as well, because they were taking the time on throwing the ball back in from throw-ins. Yeah, you're talking about slow free kicks, etc. So I don't mind that. The attacking fouls before a goal or a penalty, how far do you take that back? Are we going to be sat waiting with VAR, waiting for a decision? You know, I think that could take a long time, which I'm not a fan of. I have to be brutally honest with you. I think the substitution ones is feasible, unless a player's, he's got a knock and he has to limp off. Then I think you've got to give them more than 10 seconds. You might have an issue or a problem there. But anything to get the game moving and keep it flowing, because I think so many times this season, just in the Premier League, watching that week in, week out, the delay factors in games was just, it was boring at times. It was too much, and players, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile if they need to do it. So as long as they work and as long as the game flows, I'm a fan of it. I don't mind it at all.
Do you know what? Steve Clarke, the Scotland manager, made a good point, though, about the 5-second countdown for the throw-in of the goal kick. When does it start?
Yeah.
When does it start? Is it as soon as the ball goes out?
Yeah.
Is it when the player picks up the ball?
Picks up the ball, yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a funny one, that, isn't it? It's like when goalkeepers have the ball in their hands, they use that 7-second rule. If it's not out of their hands, what does the referee, is he timing it all of the time throughout the whole of the game? So I think the more it goes, the more they get used to it, the better it's going to be. But I think sometimes we're going to be watching the games and we're going to get frustrated.
Another one to take note of, because we saw it so much in the Premier League last season, over the last couple of seasons, actually. And I think this might be one that they bring in to the Premier League for the next campaign. But goalkeeper injuries can't be used as tactical timeouts. So players are actually banned from running over to the coaches for some instructions during those stoppages. Yeah. I think that's a good thing.
Well, and rightly so as well. I think, Donnarumma, I think, was one who sat on his backside trying to delay a bit of time. I think there was a couple of other goalkeepers who did exactly the same.
Newcastle were one of the worst offenders of that.
Well, there you go. And it's all about flow. And I think, was it the average? Was it about 60 minutes of a 90-minute game were being played? And it's just wrong. You need to be playing a lot more minutes in a 90-minute game of football. So the quicker they can sort the VAR out for whatever decision it is, whether it's for, these fouls before a goal or a penalty, etc., the ones that are written in front of us, I just hope that they get it right. Because this is a spectacle that we want to sit, watch and enjoy.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? They're trying to delay all they're trying to get that pomp and ceremony before the game.
Yeah, well, exactly,
It's kind of strange, that, isn't it, really? Right, we're less than a week away, though, Micky. I've got to ask you about your predictions. I'm looking forward to this. So, who do you think is going all the way? Who's going to win this World Cup? And if you don't say England, we'll finish the show early.
Well, I'm not going to say
Mickey Gray, thank you so much.
My final, if they can stay away from each other, will be Spain and France. Right now, I think that would be maybe a lot of people would have the same. But I think if sides that can win it, it's Spain, France, Argentina, England. I've got Portugal and Japan as my two outsiders. I know Portugal, I think they finished in third place to actually get to the World Cup, but I just look at their squad and the depth, and whether it's Ronaldo playing up front for them or not, I think they've got real quality. And if they can get in a flow in the group stages, I think they've got a real chance. So that would be kind of the six nations.
Here in the middle, Angel Neves.
Player.
You've got, I mean, PSG European champions.
Yeah.
And you've got them in the centre.
They've got so much talent.
It's the Ronaldo conundrum, though, isn't it? And it's kind of cast a shadow at times over the career of Roberto Martinez, I think, as the Portugal manager. What would you do? Would you start him in every game? He's going to want to start, of course he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's going to want to start, but it's a very similar situation to, I think, what England have got. If you get the points on the board in the first couple of games with Cristiano playing in those two games, then you just completely give him a 90-minute rest. And then when it gets to the group stages, I think you've got to kind of manage him. But as you said there before, if he wants to play, he plays. But it's how long you play him for. He's used to the temperatures. He's obviously been out in Saudi long enough. They've just won the Saudi League as well. But last 15 minutes, if you need somebody to score a goal for you, stick him on.
You mentioned Japan there as well.
Yeah, I was just impressed with him in the England game. I know you just mentioned there Matoma. He might have a problem. But I just still think they've got enough quality. And if they can play the way they played against England, I think the side that win the World Cup, and this is barring Spain, I think it's going to be a counter-attacking team. Because of the temperatures, I think you're going to see spells of teams being dynamic, but then being able to hold on to the ball for as long as they possibly can, and then just springing into life at times in a 90-minute game. Not quite sure Spain can do that, but they can keep hold of the ball for 90 minutes. But isn't it strange we're having this conversation? We've not talked about Brazil, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium,
England.
I don't know why we're not. I don't know why we're not talking about them. But you get a feel for nations. And that they don't come into my top six, those four that I've just mentioned there before.
Yeah, Brazil with Carlo Ancelotti.
Unbelievable.
Too, and could meet Brazil, England rather in a quarter final. I mean, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? With Thomas Tuchel and Carlo Ancelotti, the two managers that have done so well at club level, being brought together. I mean, that would be such a spectacle.
I just think it also shows us how much football's changed over the last 20 years. Because you went into a World Cup, and every single World Cup, Brazil were favourites. But I think people have caught up. They've cottoned on to the way that they won tournaments, and they've maybe taken it to another level. And now you're probably looking at Spain and France as being, the two sides that you're looking at and you would fear.
Sort of vintage Brazil squad is the only thing you could say. I mean, when you look at the ones down the years, I mean, my word, if you compare them to the one now, it's not quite the same, is it? You didn't mention England. How far do you think they do get?
Well, I did mention them. I just didn't say I don't think that they're going to get the final. Look, we have got every chance. I think Thomas Tuchel's picked a very, very good squad. He's picked a team. He's made some big decisions already. I think he's got some bigger ones to make in the World Cup. And there's no reason why we cannot go all the way.
Yeah, you just said there that you think a counter-attacking team could win it. Is that how you're expecting Thomas Tuchel to approach some of these games?
I think so. As I mentioned before, I think you're going to have a 6 and a 4. I think you're going to have 6 that are going to say, right, we need to keep clean sheets. And then I think you're going to have a 4 where I talk about dynamism all the time in football now and pace. And with Rashford, with Saka, Madueke, if it's him, or Anthony Gordon, I have to say Harry Kane, because I think if we're going to win a tournament, it has to be Harry Kane. But I think the sides that are going to go far in this tournament are going to wait for their moments. Because of the temperature, the way that the games are going to adapt, and the further you go into this tournament, I think that's what wins you the tournament.
Who takes the golden boot, do you think? It's tough to predict this one, because when you look at the group stage...
Well, Mbappe. I would say Mbappe.
He's a World Cup merchant, isn't he? He loves it.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're not talking about this today, but there was talk about Haaland going to Real Madrid. Well, if that's going to happen, do a swap deal.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
You know what I mean?
Good shout, yeah.
But Mbappe, for me, in my eyes, I still think he is the best player in the world.
Yeah, do you know what? He's 5 goals away from the record in terms of goal scoring at a World Cup. He's 27.
Yeah.
absolutely
phenomenal.
astonishing, really, isn't it? And you would back him to get that kind of amount, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Too?
playing in that team.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Obviously, I asked you who's going to win it. You mentioned about 58 teams. Neck on the line, Micky Gray. Who's going to win the World Cup?
Well, off air, I think I said Spain to you. I'd say France. No, I was thinking about the way that the tournament's going to play out, and I just think France have got two top-class players in every position, but they've also got a world-class player.
And a manager who's done it.
Yeah,
and that's
his final tournament as well before Zidane takes over. I think.
Yes, yeah. But what's funny is that sometimes he gets a bit of stick, doesn't he, Deschamps, for not playing the best football. I mean, it makes no sense to me, given how well they've done.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, they've been to finals. They've obviously won the final. They've got a great record over the last 15 to 20 years in the World Cup. He's been there, seen it, done it. Most of their players have been there, seen it, pretty much nearly done it. I think they're ready for it again.
You got your wall chart ready, Micky?
Not yet.
Got your sticker book?
Not yet. I think that'll kick in maybe tonight, actually.
Yeah, watching England out
game.
there.
Yeah, and I think that'll start to get the feel of it. Then you get the World Cup buzz, don't you? And all the memories start flooding back, and I can't wait for it.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely fantastic and some spectacle. We were chatting about Scotland a bit earlier too. What an occasion that is going to be for them as well. We'll just have to deal with some of those walkouts that we were talking about earlier with the entire squad on the centre circle. Crazy. But I know that, of course, you're looking forward to the World Cup final, particularly for that halftime show. Big Madonna fan.
Yeah, and Shakira was in
Shakira, yeah.
And it was, I won't mention the other one, what I called them, but yeah, I don't know what they sing or what they do, but look, as silly as it sounds, I'll probably watch it, but I don't know why.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure, Micky. Thank you very much.
Enjoyed
it. Yeah. We got through it. A Newcastle fan with a Sunderland legend. You can keep that grin on your face for the rest of this summer. We'll be back next season, mate, hopefully in those derbies. Thanks very much for your company for the Saturday session. Coming up next here, do not go anywhere. It's the Fun Boys, Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy.